Listen to Only Fools and Collecting. A podcast for those who like a good moan about figure collecting and don't mind naughty words.
Hello everyone. Welcome.
Good evening.
We'd like to say a big thank you to What Else Scrapyard and Backdrops and Bases for sponsoring the 53rd now, isn't it? Episode?
Yeah, very good, yeah.
How people are putting up with us, I will never know. So today we've got a very special one. Obviously I'm here with Mr. Peter and Andy, again, he's back. The man, the myth, the legend, to come and talk to us about the absolutely astronomically cool Ryu. I'm super psyched for this one. We all game? You all good?
How you doing, Andy?
Yeah. All right, mate. Very tired. You know, lots of messages, lots of questions, lots of things like that. And hopefully this is really good because I can just sort of link people to some of the common questions that are coming through. So it should make things a little bit easier.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, we were both like, as soon as we saw this, you put the pre-order up, we were like, well, we've got to have you on the next show. Just to kind of just wax lyrical on it and tell people why they should buy it, you know, because it looks great. There's quite a few sort of I think unique selling points for this one. So I don't really know where to start. Do you want to kind of just take us through a little bit about, you know, the Street Fighter license and
So Street Fighter is, I'm going to sound cliche because I said pretty much the similar thing on when we were talking about Psycho, but Street Fighter is really important to me. I mean, to the point where that's my original Mega Drive cart. So, you know, from when I was a kid, that's still accessible and you know, still in the box, still kicking about. So yeah, it's been important to me for a very long time since before when I was going around my mate's house to play it on the SNES, and then they put it on the Mega Drive, so we were good.
Wow.
And we got the opportunity to get involved in this way back in 2019, and it was one of those meetings that just you know, when you talk to somebody and everything just clicks together. That was you know, the conversation and how everything went with Capcom. And we realised very quickly that we were going to have to develop a new body, because you couldn't get an off-the-shelf or a similarly designed one that's going to fit how Ryu works. It's just not a thing. So we looked at a lot of how it would work, you know, long term. And the main thing was about posing, because that's one of my things that's been, you know, really important to me for a long time. And a lot of people don't realise that a lot of the poses that are very classic and iconic to Street Fighter involve a lot of collapsing of the chest. So if you're doing the Hydoken pose, like you can see in the images there, that involves bringing those shoulders in and having the arms straight out, which you know, sort of changes how things are. And that would be really difficult with a stock plastic body, you know, without it looking like one of those sort of 5-point articulation, arms up and down kind of things. So it needed to be soft. That was as simple as it was. You can do it perhaps with smaller figures and things like that, but something big and bulky in 1/6, we had to go the TBL route. So way pre, you know, the world being shut down and everything like that, we got to, I got to go and sit and have the conversation with TBL, and physically in their offices, and we discussed it, and they were really excited about it, and we were. And so we designed the 3D body and how it looks and its appearance, and then we utilised them to engineer it to come up with this body. So it's not stock, it's not an M35, it's a hell of a lot bulkier. And when you see it in person, you can just really tell that. And so it was about bringing that thing to life. Now, as I say, we're talking way back in 2019 for all this sort of starting and things like that. So one of the big things was testing the body, and so the body that we've got, it's very much about was about testing it for a long period of time. So something that I wouldn't share as an official post, but I can show you very much on a podcast, is this is one of the many ridiculous poses that I had it in awesome. Testing it for weeks on end. And so what we did with this is every sort of 2 weeks I put it in another pose and I just leave it out. So were no cabinets, no special things making sure it's all right. It was literally, how much can I, sort of break this body in a fortnight period? And no breaks. In fact, that very body is back with 11, and he may or may not have made an evil Ryu custom out of it for himself because the skin tone was a bit darker. So we may release it, who knows? But it was one of those things that testing that was really, really important to me, because like people have said, are we going to get, is there going to be issues with this and that and the other? It was about us testing it for as long as we possibly could to make sure that if there was a problem very early on, we could detect it and change the moulding process, because it's all moulding with TBL stuff.
Cody says here, did you guys have to add extra articulation to the chest to get such a dynamic range?
No, weirdly, no. So the existing TBL skeleton, without going into too much of their personal design and everything, the existing TBL skeleton has a lot of that range already in it. With
I love them. I think they're brilliant.
Points and they're really good. And as long as you look after them, they look after you. That's the way they work. So it's very much a combination of their existing structure. There's a hell of a lot of meat on this character, so it means that there's a lot of things where it pulls itself in and stuff like that in the right places. A lot of things video game designers don't have to worry about because they can clip through their own body. We can't with action figures. So there's a lot of little tricks that it was about, well, how can we make this work for people? So one of the things that we came up with very early was a sort of conjoined set of hands. Now these are an early 3D printed one. This is one of the tests, so you'll see like mine's half painted. I end up with the cast-offs all around my house. That's how it works. So the idea was a conjoined section that would allow both of the arms to sort of go into there, and so it can hold that pose, because there's nothing worse than them not being able to sort of have that iconic pose, and that's something that we wanted to achieve with Ryu very, very early
that's
on.
That's the perfect way to do that, definitely.
So that was a godsend, really. Sort of talking about that, designing it with Hugo and 11 and all the people that were involved in that process, which and if I remember rightly, the newer ones have got a slightly more extreme angle on the. You probably ought to see it in the photos. They've got a slightly more extreme angle on the cuffs. Because we wanted to give people as much leeway as possible to slot those hands in on an angle, because as soon as you see the hands together, your brain kind of removes, makes the arms straight, even though they're not. And so it was about recreating that pose and getting it as accurate as we could. So yeah.
That's great. I think we talked just before we came on air about I'm really interested in this this new body and everything, and obviously you've said you've come out and said that it's not going to be made available as a separate body, so obviously it's exclusive to this line. But you mentioned about the fact that you haven't necessarily been able to show off the body itself because of kind of modern sexualization kind of.
Yeah, that's the thing. It puts, there is an element where we can show off that body, but there's certain things that, are under design brief that we need it to look a certain way. For example, I'm totally not talking about Street Fighter here. There is another brand that we spoke to once, which will remain nameless, how I explained how the figure would work when we were talking to them, because it was an armoured figure. And they were like, we can't do it that way, because I wanted to kind of make it like the old Centurions where you clip the armour on, so it would mean that you could take the armour off, move it, put the armour back on, and there wouldn't be a problem from a design point of view. And they were like, but if we do that, we're saying to the Joe public that this is what it looks like underneath. And that was them as a company. Now, that's not Capcom's issue, but we've got to be careful with what and the context that we put stuff out in. And that's the thing, that's the choice that we're making. So, like, I can show you that picture of it kind of casually on my shelf in the nude, and from a testing point of view. But it's very, very different with going, look, hey, this is Ryu's nude body. From our point of view, there's a very different message there. So I imagine what we'll probably do is showcase it in a different way. So it's not just, here's some nude bodies, Facebook. And I imagine the context that we'll probably show it in is sort of our development process from A to B. So we'll probably show, this is concept art, this is the first mould, this is, and go down that route with you as sort of the pre-order window is progressing, so people can see it. But you've got to be careful how the context that you put stuff out in.
Well, we got
And
a Facebook strike, didn't we,
really
for you having a naked body in your sink.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Case in point.
Yeah.
Case in point.
I mean,
And
to be honest, after I killed him, I thought I'd moved him away. I didn't realise I just left him in the
You
sink.
just took his head off and left the rest in the
Yeah,
sink.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, like figures with guns and stuff like that. That's I was really surprised at how much we got away with American Psycho. With blood spatter and axes and stuff.
Yeah,
I was surprised we didn't get pulled with anything.
Have you got any? Because there seems to be a lot of figures now, mostly the smaller scale stuff, but they're not having guns. Is there some kind of what's the ruling?
I've
with that
heard,
sort of thing?
and I might be totally wrong. Okay, I might be totally wrong. So this is a rumor that I've heard. Is that there's an internal mandate with certain companies that they don't want to be seen as promoting gun violence. So, for example, like Arkham Knight, who's a heavily gunned character, there's been versions of that character with swords that were never in the game, and like lightsabery looking swords. Now, coming from England, like you guys, and the amount of knife crime here, swords are probably just as bad. I can understand why some companies are making that choice, and that's up to them. At the same time, I would argue I struggle to see the point in it long term. One, when you're selling to an adult collector. And two, when you're willing to put it in Fortnite where every character has a gun.
Yeah, it's double
those two
standards,
things don't
isn't
make
it?
sense to me. So I don't know, and I don't get why, but I do understand that they're trying to follow a mandate, and that's fine. These things change all the time, and I wouldn't be surprised if a certain marketing executive changes and goes, "We can sell all these figures again with guns now." And I think one of the big examples is sometimes there are mandates where companies will say to you, you can't do this pose, or you can't do this particular thing now. And I know certain companies have had warnings, not us, but warnings about we want the gun, not to be pointing. We don't want to be doing any aggressive shooting poses with the gun. So he can hold the gun here, and he can hold the gun, but he can't aim the gun.
Yeah.
And if you look at certain pre-order photos, you'll probably see that common trait moving forward, I think.
Yeah. Alvin says, I don't know if there's anything you can show. He says, what does the packaging look like? Is that still under...
Gorgeous, is the honest answer. It's not something we can show yet, because when you're dealing with a company the size of Capcom, there is like Capcom Europe and Capcom Japan and Capcom, North America. So you've got to deal with all of them. The one thing I can say is, if you look at Hugo's artwork, any of Hugo's stuff that he does very, very faithful painting recreation stuff that he's done in a lot of our artwork before. You'll see that that common theme will definitely work through this, and his design sort of methodology behind it has been to design packaging that is for the line, not for one character. So we already have designs in boxes, concepts for stuff that we don't necessarily know if we're going to make or get to.
Yeah.
But the aim is that we want to make everybody given demand, so we want to make sure we've got some packaging that's universal, because we know that there are packaging collectors out there, otherwise somebody wouldn't have asked the question, So we want to be able to, if you want to universally have them all lined up behind the characters, we want them to have that consistent feel. There's nothing worse like when you get a selection of Blu-rays and one of them's a weird shape. So I know that, and that's something that we want to kind of stick to. So it'll very much be a line design, and it'll be very much in keeping with Street Fighter and style, and taking references and things like that from the game and the fonts. I mean, a lot of people probably won't even realise this, but that font that's got Ryu's name written on it in all the pre-order text, if you go and put Street Fighter 5 on now and load up the character select screen, that's the exact font.
All right, that's cool. Yeah.
So it's
Awesome.
little tweaks like that are really important, and there'll be a lot of that works its way through consistently.
Cool. Alvin said, why start with this character versus another? Well, I mean, for me, Ryu is Street Fighter. He's been there from the start. And,
It was the first on the box when I picked it up,
Yep.
so that was the reason. No,
Yeah.
why start? I think it's a valid question. Why this character? And I think Pete's right to say Ryu's synonymously Street Fighter.
Yeah.
He might not be your favourite, and that's fine. But I think if we picked a random character and ran with it, people would then go, well, where's Ryu and where's this? And we've already had this when we've put Ryu up. The first question is, well, where's Chun-Li? Where's Ken? And to be honest, that's why at the end of the trailer we put Ken in there. Because even though, and we had to go through so much red tape to make sure we could get the unannounced figure in that trailer. But it was worth it for that reason, to be able to answer one of those questions and show an intention for a line rather than
I think
a
that's
single
important.
figure.
Yeah. And I
Because
think
I'm all
also,
about that.
yeah, and also I think it's fairly obvious that you can get quite a few characters out of this body, and in terms of your investment and stuff in the line, then it makes if you went with dolls in first off, you've got to create some crazy body that you can't use for anybody else. Whereas this, you need Ryu, Guile. I'm not sure about Akuma because he may be bigger. But there's a good lot of use out of this body, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And somebody asked me about things like heights and stuff. There's work we can do to make sure that people have accurate heights, and that's the point for the feet. So a lot of people have said to me, well, Andrew, what about the feet? And I'll show you something from very early on. So I want to be very, very clear before I bring this to camera. This is like prototype number 2 out of 4, because what happens is, where, as I've said, I end off with a cast off. So the really nice one that you're seeing in the photo was winging its way back to to China the minute that those photos had been taken, because they need to do all the final checks and get everything done. So just to show you this guy, obviously the whole point was to... Here he is. Oh, there you go.
Oh, he's stunning.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I'd like to note the wires in the bandana, the wires in the belt, but also the thing that we don't really talk about in the promo, we've actually wired the chest on the gi. To make sure it keeps that V, so that's really important. But yeah, to show the feet, and obviously this is very early proto, so they're a lot smoother now. But we had to make a decision very, very early on, which was, does Ryu have feet as part of the body? And my argument was a few things actually. It was, well, how do we alter height? Does everybody have a giraffe neck to be the right height? So you can do that with feet and ankles and stuff. There's little bits of work that you can do. But the other thing that was really important to me was to put a second pair of feet in. So that bent toe pose. Yep. Because there's nothing worse than... if you've had military figures and you try and get a guy down in the crouch pose and he can't go into that position. And obviously Ryu, if you get that side-on shot of him shooting that fireball, that bent toe's there. Right at the back, and that's something that we wanted to do. So it was that decision between functionality and going down the road of, we make it one piece. The other thing about the one piece side of things as well was it also meant that his feet would have been that sort of rubber kind of thing, and I think the weight of this body is insane. So, it was a matter of like, are these rubbery feet going to hold him? And it's one of the reasons as well that as part of the base, it's not strictly a dynamic base, but we've deliberately created a base that has like an adjustable bracket on it, so you can have him in his poses, and you're not worried about it falling forward because it's going to maintain its structure. So that was something that was very, very important for us, and obviously highlighting the sort of the champion edition. I don't know why I'm not throwing you the front. I think it's because it says Ken on it, because this is Ken's base from some of the shots that I was showing you. But but yeah, the Ryu and Ken bases will match from a design point of view. We may change logos and stuff, but yeah. But yeah, I'm very, very proud of what we've achieved with this, and I'll just pop the head sculpt off so you can see that it has the classic TBL metal structure running through it, and the heads sort of sit and clip really nicely into the neck. Now, this is something that I wanted to point out as well. Actually, is that a lot of people, when you custom stuff with a TBL figure, sometimes I sometimes see it where there's that horrible gap up the top, and you see the metal post, the head slips down and over.
Yeah, I was going to say you got a really
the neck
nice
post
seam
deliberately made long. So
Yeah.
that is to keep that seam as small as possible.
Yeah, that's really nice.
So we have the
Nice.
angry looking to one side head.
Yeah.
And then we have the sort of hero head, as it were. I'm trying to work out where my camera is. There we go.
Yeah, brilliant.
And
that's
some people
awesome.
might go, oh, well, they're really simple as a head sculpt. It's actually not. The hair is in like 3 pieces in the way it's put together. Because if we made it as a one piece, you can do it in the 3D printer and that's no problem. But as soon as you go into moulding, and you might have seen this on some other brands, some like smaller figures, where the hair in production's drooped and flattened against the head. So what we've done is we've moulded these separately to increase, sort of that design working its way through to keep the sharpness to the hair, to the eyebrows and everything like that. So very, very proud of how these look. And it's a gorgeous... I genuinely get excited about it as a figure. It's not just... It's not just a job. It's sort of, sometimes I just look across at it and smile, so that's always a good thing. The other thing that's absolutely gorgeous is the fireball.
That looks awesome.
Yeah.
That looks fantastic.
This is our harder version that's from an older proto, but I just wanted to show you. I mean, we've got all sorts of different ones that have different opacities and stuff, but from what I've spoken to them, this one here is the one that matches closest to the one that I sent back.
Nice,
and
cool.
I've got my studio light up there that's hitting that, so that's probably why we're getting all the reflections and stuff. But it's really distinctive, and then obviously you've got your pole that comes out the bottom and everything that goes together, which is really cool.
See, Andy, I was trying to talk myself out of ordering this, and now you've been pushing me back towards it.
Well, there you go. Sorry about that, bud.
No, no.
The other thing that happened, and absolute credit to 11, I have to try not to use his real name because he likes to be known like that, but it's one of those things. Is the bag was something we were umming and ahhing about doing, and one day he just made it and went, I don't care if you make it or not, I want it for myself. And like very early in development, he was like, I'm making it for myself. You can sell it or not sell it. And I saw it and fell in love with it, and that was immediately coming with the figure. So it's got that sort of spongy filled kind of thing. It's got a nice thick string on the top, and it's just nice. If you want to use it as a punching bag, if you want to use it as his duffel bag, everything like that, it sort of fills that gap.
Yeah.
So yeah, it comes with stuff I'm happy with him coming with. And a lot of people said, well, what about this accessory and that accessory? We have the opportunity to expand more stuff with the line as it comes together. There's different variants of. So some people said to me, actually, I'll bring this up. Some people said, well, why doesn't it come with the bearded head from the other version? And to be really nerdy, that figure is actually completely different, the bearded one.
Yeah.
So, for example, the bearded one, he has a very sort of grey, he has like a different skin tone on his body, on the character model for that. Just move his arms and let you see that normal body, normal head sculpt there.
Yeah.
Bring these arms down.
Yeah, fantastic.
Nice, awesome.
So what made you go with the Street Fighter 5 then, as opposed to any other version? Just because it's the most realistic character models.
I think Street Fighter 5 crosses a lot of narratives. Okay, so the bodies are similar to 4. The bodies are similar to Marvel vs. Capcom. So, for example, if you're not a huge Street Fighter fan, but you really like Marvel vs. Capcom and you want a Ryu to go with your Wolverine, it feels that it isn't alien from a design point of view. I love brown floppy haired Ryu from early Street Fighter. Absolutely love it. But it and given support and given the if people want to keep going down this road of I'll pre-order everything that you're making, we'll keep doing it. It's as simple as that. There was a lot of people asking questions like, well, when are you going to make Zangief? And I think that's a valid question. I'd love to make Zangief tomorrow, but you can't launch a line on the back of him.
No.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you need to start with core characters, and then if that support's there and everybody wants to continue investing in that line and it's a line that they like, that's where it broadens out. You know, because Zangief or Sagat, for example, Sagat's substantially taller than Ryu, so that's going to require a custom body of which you've never seen before. So it's all of a sudden we're entering 8 foot TBL characters, and so to do that we need to establish that there's a base there to be able to invest those funds to design it. So because it's a design process and it's quite time consuming. And
so
testing.
You've alluded to Ken, so we can kind of say that you've sort of got a commitment to make Ken.
Yes.
But then obviously beyond that, it's all very much to do with how these do, how Ken does, and what would be your decision making process in terms of who you would choose next? Is that Capcom have some say in that, or? Yeah,
there is definitely some say in that. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that people don't think of, and yet again, this is not necessarily a Capcom thing, but other licenses. Like there was one license that we were looking at one point, and they went, "We can't do this in 1/6 now because there's a statue coming out of it, and there's a smaller figure coming out of it. So we want to give those guys time to sell this stuff and to do that before we look at a 1/6, because we don't want you to come out and then that eclipses both those other markets."
Yeah,
and I think that's fair, because when you go and take these licenses on, you're spending money to have the exclusivity to make that license, and then you've got to make that money back, and you've got to continue to pay the licensor as well. So it's very, very important to make sure that you're not treading on each other's toes with stuff.
Yeah.
And, because there's a lot of stuff out there, and there is crossover, I don't know if you own statues, but I have a Silver Surfer statue set over there, but if a Hot Toys one came out at the same time, I'd have probably bought that. You know what I mean? So it's trying to work out, how it's fair to everybody. And so the licenses will do that. So there is a bit of control over that. But also there is, we do look at feedback and comments. So we put a post out the other day saying, what's your favourite Street Fighter characters? What's your top 3? You'd have to be mad to think we don't look at that feedback when people are saying, "Oh, I want this character." Now, if it's the same person saying, "I want this really obscure character, I want Birdie 90 times," in the thing, that guy's going to buy one Birdie, and that's cool, but that doesn't fulfil the greater, It doesn't mean that we won't get to that, and if that support's there, then we will consider that. I'm a Guile player. I really like Guile. I really like Guile in blue.
Yeah, I like
that's
Guile,
my personal preference. And it might lean up with the Captain America fan in me. But my point is that we will get to that. But I have to put my needs a little bit down. I have to put consumer needs first. People saying can't wait to see the TBL Chun-Li body design. Saw them. Look, we know about all the requests for Chun-Li, and let's just say it's noted. Okay, but yet again, we have to prove there's an element. Chun-Li is very protected, and we had to do a lot of negotiation for Ryu. To be fair, for the whole line, we had to do a lot of negotiation, and there was a lot of let's show you the body and how it works and all this sort of stuff. Chun-Li is it's a protected character. Some fans might know that there is elements of Chun-Li that were based off creators' partners and things like that. So, it's very much one of the crown jewels of them, and they want to look after that. So, with the support for this line and how it comes out, and when people say, "Oh, I've got my Ryu, I'm really happy with it," and Capcom see that, Chun-Li's then sort of obvious. It becomes a lot easier to sort of go into that room and have that conversation. But that's not me saying we haven't already had that conversation. But just being sort of clear in the way that works. I mean, I was absolutely bowled over the other day that actual Street Fighter and Capcom shared our trailer the other day. That was. And then Facebook broke. So, that was
your
thing.
Fault.
I'm saying we broke Facebook. We put that trailer out and it broke Facebook. So that's my...
It can't be a coincidence. No, it was definitely you. Solely blame you for that one.
Yeah. So, what? Obviously, this is, I think, to be honest, it's fairly obvious that a 1/6 Street Fighter line has been something that people have been calling for years. Why do you think people never? Why has it taken this long? Why have people not touched it, in your opinion? Or
In my opinion, I think like immediately we flagged that it's can you do it in the bodies?
Yes,
You
the
know,
body, yeah.
without it being ugly or not working. They're the two things. You know.
So maybe now is just the
functionality
right
and
time,
its appearance.
perfect time.
So yeah, maybe there is. Maybe we've struck lucky, and the collaboration is exactly that. Alternatively, you know, I've seen other companies that have tried to get there in the past and haven't, or they've released one or two.
Yeah.
And that's why I talk about this support thing, because if a company's released one or two, and maybe that's not done well in the past, maybe that's what it is. We're not having that issue now, but it's one of those things that I like to talk about and flag that, you know, it's about the support for a line. If you're desperate for something, you kind of got to get behind it. Because that's why when, you know, I'm just going to say it, Hot Toys put something out, and then you go, oh, well, where's Drax the version 2? Well, if Gamora version 2 didn't sell very well or something like that, is this one going to sell well? You know, I mean, I heard, like, through the rumour mill that there wasn't very many Justice League Supermen, the blue ones. I've heard that they're really... And that's the reason they kept pushing it back, because you put things into production windows depending on when you're going to produce it. And that's the rumours that I heard about that behind the scenes. And if that's the case... then when people were saying, well, where's Cyborg to finish the line? If, I don't know, 5,000 people... If Hot Toys are used to selling 10,000, 20,000 of a figure, and they then sell 3,000 or 5,000 Supermen, then are they going to continue with a character that's potentially less famous?
Yeah, and I think this comes, you know, is the argument about whether to pre-order or not to pre-order. You know, a lot more people are saying, I'm not going to pre-order, I'm going to wait, keep my money in my bank. But obviously, you know, the pre-order numbers are very important, aren't they? Particularly when you're launching
Absolutely.
a line.
Absolutely. When we go and have conversations with licensors, the first questions that people ask are, what are your pre-order numbers? What are your sales figures? And you know, so you know accurately what those are. And it'd be silly to say, you know, and also actually to go a little bit further than that, if you're talking about multi-year deals that you have with pre-orders and stuff, you know, like licenses, it might be you get into the end of a thing and do you want to extend that or not? And then you and the company get together and you look at the numbers and you say, well, yes, we're going to extend that because we want to make this, and this, because the pre-order numbers are there and we know the business is there. And, you know, I know this might be a really dry subject for some people out there, but the business of it is there's a lot of work that goes into it just to get a figure to you that if you're doing third party, they just don't have to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of loopholes that, you know, they don't have to wait 3 weeks to see if a head sculpt's approved. They don't have to check that the material's correct and that somebody's happy with it and get it signed off and make sure the legal lines are right. Those things, you know, we're just banging the box, it's fine. and that's where a lot of that process.
There we go. You just got another sale there. Look.
DVD I just pre-ordered at Sideshow. Don't let me down. We've seen it physically. It's in my house. So I mean, I've got the rubbish one compared to what you're going to get. I can't wait to get the real one in the box and pop that up there. I will just say as well, if you just pre-ordered it, every one of these Ryu figures is going in the box. I don't know if it's going to be on a slip or if it'll be printed on the inside of the box. We're going to be giving people what we're calling the IconiQ membership. We did it with a previous release. And what we're going to do with that is anybody who pre-orders this will be able to like enter their email details in, and we'll have an account system and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And we will basically send you a code that will be your code. And then if you ever pre-order anything direct through us, you'll either have early access to stuff or discounts to stuff and stuff like that for you know, supporting us. And we'll continue to do stuff like that to help out where we can. You know, it's not about creating something that's elite that other people can't get into. It's more about saying thank you to people who are supporting us, especially, you know, with certain releases that are gonna, you know, we're not going to do it with every release, but with certain releases going forward, we'll drop this IconiQ membership in, and that'll give you access to stuff. So that's perfect. And with the Ryu, if you end up pre-ordering directly, you probably won't have to wait for it in the box. We'll have your email details, so we'll be able to just send you that code at the end of the pre-order window. Yeah,
I think that's great. I mean, I'm not on the payroll. I'm not being sent a free figure or anything, but I think I'm really I'm really excited about this. And I just said to you, I'm probably going to end up ordering one. I think, to be honest, if people want this line to continue, want it to succeed, just pre-order it. Don't hang about and wait.
Don't buy on secondary. There's nothing worse. There's nothing worse than when we look at it from the other side, and we see these things for like selling for 400 quid and people killing each other to try and get them when they were $280 X amount of weeks before. Don't be in that position. If you're, if it's not for you when it arrives, sell it on, do whatever. Yeah. But it's one of those things that's worth considering.
Yeah, definitely. And I kind of I'm thinking, do I want to go down this rabbit hole? But it just looks so cool, and I think
you do. You do want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah,
you really do.
Yeah,
Pete is going to be balls deep in that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's probably. We've got. I don't know if you know, Andy, but you're now John from CW is your biggest fan. And it's all because of the statement you put out. I don't know if you've got it, if you want to read through it or anything. I think we haven't got it on the screen.
Oh, of course.
It's about the reissues or the promise to not.
This was an the reissue statement's really interesting. So we had a lot of back and forth on that, and we got equal amounts of heat for it and positivity. So some people think it's great, some people don't like it. I want to be really clear on what this means. So with the reissues, basically, we don't want to just re-release this figure, okay? Because, how can I put it? It's not about feeding into that scalper thing, right? But there is also, when you reissue a figure, especially when you're a multi-million pound company, maybe you've got lots of room to do stuff and production windows and whatever. But when you're a smaller company, you have to look at what your windows are. And if I go, right, there's Ryu, we've done that, we're going to do Ryu again. That stops another release happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? It stops those different characters that people are trying to get to happening. It stops those more niche movie licenses like American Psycho happening because you're doing Ryu again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we'll never do a Ryu again. I want to be really clear. But if we did, it would be substantially different. So would it be Street Fighter 2 Ryu? Would it be Bearded Ryu? Would it be Alpha? A lot of people like the Alpha series. I mean, obviously that's a completely different license. But would it be Alpha Ryu? And each of all that includes new tooled hands. So all those hands, he doesn't wear the same gloves in that game. He's got the full hand gloves in this one. So it'd be new hands. It'd probably be new feet. It'd definitely be new heads and hair and all that sort of stuff.
John's loving it.
So all of a sudden you're in a situation where it's not about just using the same doing the same thing over and over again, but it's not about excluding somebody as well. And I do understand the argument that if I get into this 2 years down the line and I missed it, right, then I get it. I get where there is a little bit of dismay there, right? However, I can't get Batman Returns Happy Meal toys from the 90s because they no longer exist and they're no longer issued, right? McDonald's shouldn't be churning out Batman Returns toys today just because I want them. That was the window that they were licensed in, and that's when they were created for that market then. And, but if we keep reissuing this, then what if he looks very similar in Street Fighter 6? And then people want Street Fighter 6 figures, and so on and so forth. And there's just this... It's about things being different and individual, and also, from my perspective as well, there's nothing worse than... You feel, I know it sounds really bad and it feels really gatekeepery, but as a collector who's got literally hundreds of action figures, Hot Toys, 1/6, the lot, Mesco stuff. Mesco never reissue stuff. They're another company that just never do it. There's nothing worse than thinking, I managed to get that really, really exclusive Toy Fair one, and I paid through the nose to get it, but I managed to get it, and it's my favourite thing. And then the company goes, and we're making loads of them now. And that drop, that feeling can almost turn people off collecting. And I've seen people say it. I'm not buying into this because they're just going to make it again and again and again. And I know at the same time, I will always say, if it's about investment, don't get into action figures.
No.
Because that's not what they're about. They're not, get into stocks or Bitcoin or whatever, which is probably just as bad and volatile. But don't, figures are about that enjoyment and about
Yeah.
capturing that element
Yeah.
of your... They're almost little idols of bits of our past, which is why I'm still holding on to my Street Fighter Mega Drive game and things like that, and I've got the opportunity to bring something like this to life. And this snapshot in time is this figure, and other people will want other versions of it because it's their snapshots. The why people have said, I want Alpha Ryu and I want Street Fighter 2 Ryu, because that's their personal connection. So we're starting with this, and this is this particular snapshot, but we will consider other versions of Ryu and other versions of other characters and other licenses and stuff, but we will never straight reissue a figure, full stop.
Brilliant.
And that's the commitment.
Yeah, no, that's
I think we
very
we
welcome.
we kind of touched upon it on the last episode, where I think that people don't understand what a reissue is. They will harp on that the same character from a different film, from a different game, is a reissue, and I'm always like, no, it's different. It's not the same. Like, so it's really, really refreshing to hear someone go,
yeah, it's not.
we're not going to straight out do it, but if there's another version and there's a market for it, we're going to do it. And I think that's
I've got about
more than
seven Luke Skywalkers in my collection, but they're all different costumes from different movies. They're not reissues.
14 Captain Americas. You know, I'm with you, and many more to come, I'm sure. But but yeah, that's it. It's just about. It's about that small. Like, for example, if I've got the Hot Toys strike suit Captain America over there from Winter Soldier, okay. And if they did the Endgame version, Infinity War version from the beginning of that film, where it's the slightly longer hair and whatever, I'd have bought that in a heartbeat. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a different movie, it's a different look. Joe would have probably looked at me slightly and gone, that's the same figure, Andrew. Very, very, very similar. But, you know, it's the reason I have the, the 2012 Endgame cap, and I also have Avengers cap. Still, I'm fighting each other like in the movie, but you know, it's about that, and it's about being as fair to people as we can and walking that line of what it is.
Yeah, cool. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop a link to the figure on your webpage.
Thank you.
What has been genuinely nice about this is every time I've seen it in the groups, every time I've seen it on YouTube, everywhere I've seen it, I've not seen anyone hating on it, which has been great. It's been really refreshing to see someone come along with something and go, this is what we're bringing out. And I've not heard anyone go, oh, the head scope, the eyebrows are slightly wrong, or like just any twattery like that. It's just nothing. It's been nothing but good stuff.
That for the head sculpt and making sure that all of it was as game accurate as possible was a massive undertaking. Lots of taking the game and layering it over physical pictures of it in real life and checking all the different angles and does it look right from this and does it look, you know, and it's a difficult thing when you're dealing with something that is 3D but it's in 2D because people fill in a lot of blanks in their head of what they think it looks like. And it's been a big undertaking, but I'm really proud that everybody who's worked on it has managed to get it to look like this. And like you said, people aren't upset with the way it looks. You know, there's questions on stuff, and I think that's completely fine. Questions I'm there to answer where possible, but the look and the way it comes across, and as I say, I can just bring it on camera like we keep doing, and just no matter what you do, even if I just chuck it on camera, he looks great. And that's the thing. I mean, I remember how happy every single person was when we first just opened this from the delivery. Everybody was like, "Oh my god!" There might have been even a few tears with certain individuals.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Just the bulk of it is very, very impressive as well.
See, I'm more Mortal Kombat, but even I'm looking at it going, oh, fuck, I want that now.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I love Mortal Kombat as well. So you're not there's not a problem with you saying that you're more Mortal Kombat. I love Mortal Kombat. I love Injustice, Final Fight, even a bit of Killer Instinct back in the day. So
I used to love. I've got really bad taste in beat 'em ups. I used to like Bloody Raw and stuff like that.
There's nothing wrong with that. A bit of rival schools and Virtua Fighter and all sorts of things, you know.
Yeah.
See, the Virtua Fighter's tricky because if I ever wanted to do that, I don't know if I'd want to do them really polygon looking.
Yeah.
Like really flat sides,
like
like the
Minecraft
old Virtua
characters,
Fighter.
Yeah.
How accurate do you want to go? Do you want to
Yeah.
make it look like the nice version, or do you want to make it look super accurate?
Yeah.
The question there from Alvin: do you feel the process has become easier a few figures in?
No.
They're all so different,
No,
aren't they?
it's the honest answer.
Your 3 releases so far.
So to you guys on the outside, it looks like, oh, we've done this, and then we've moved on to this next. No, none of that happened. So it's all been plate spinning.
Yeah.
And so all of these pretty much came together at the same time. So it was about devote this time to this, get this right, send that off for approval, right, next thing, get this. And then when that comes back, you can make the tweaks to it that they want. So there's although it looks like there's all these different things happening, you know, nicely planned one after the other. That's because we have to plan the release nicely one after the other. You don't see the chaos behind the scenes of the right. We're trying to sort this and engineer this, and will it work with that? And is there compatibility? And where does that fit in a production window? And these people can do this whilst these people are doing this. So I'll be far happier to say to you, yes, maybe 6 figures down the road, because there's stuff that we haven't even talked about that I know is planned and I know is in development. But
Couple of questions.
like a swan, looking really graceful on the top, but you're pedaling like a fucker underneath. Kind of
exactly. I don't even think I'm graceful above, to be honest. I'd hair for all this stuff. Ryan,
question
so
from Ryan.
If you order through the IconiQ website, does it ship from the UK? Very good question.
I had the same question.
Yes, same question. I'll need to check because I don't handle the logistics side of things. So it's no secret that obviously 11 and vicariously that means Kit and other people are involved in how things ship and move around and stuff. So from what I understand, there is an element of that we get the figures in, and then if you're in the UK for direct, I believe that we move the stuff out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because obviously
as far as I think, because obviously there's also other UK stockists that stuff's going to come into them. If you're concerned about things being shipped direct or anything like that, and if something does happen, because shipping's a nightmare, and I need to be really honest with everybody about this right now. Shipping is 700% more expensive than it was at the beginning of the year. 700%.
Yeah. Wow.
Right? So it's not the just getting an item from Hong Kong and one going in the post. That's not a problem. The problem is freight. Right? And it's because when the world shut down, every man and his dog went, we can't get stuff on an aeroplane, we'll put it on a boat. Which created a backlog in boat stuff. And then when boats couldn't go into ports because certain ports were shut down, it then created queues. And then when stuff would get unpacked, the metal boxes would stay there. And so there's now a shortage of the metal boxes to even put stuff in to ship them. So all of a sudden there's become this knock-on effect, and people have cottoned onto it and gone, we can charge more and more and more and more, and because people need to ship stuff, especially near Christmas. So it might be that there's lots of different ways that we look at shipping. And I might have a more concrete answer for you, you know, sort of going forward. The plan is, as I say, freight shipping in the UK. But if that doesn't happen and it becomes incredibly more expensive, it may be something that we consider direct shipping and stuff like that. But we'd inform people of that and go through that process with people rather than just going, oh, it's randomly being shipped and we don't have to deal with it. But if you're concerned, in the UK, Emporium of Cool and Good, Bad and Robots are both stocking it. Right, and so I believe there's others as well, but they're the ones that I've personally spoke to. So I know they're stocking it. So if you're at all concerned about that, go and stick it in with those guys. I've got no issue with that. Obviously, support direct always helps, and it's very, very nice. But you know, at the end of the day, it's about end consumer. And I know as a customer who buys things myself, you've got to look after your own breadline, and I understand that, even though I'll always push what we do directly. So do what's best for you. There is a list on our Facebook of some UK suppliers, and if you're watching internationally, there'll be lists of suppliers and stuff like that, and we update it as people let us know that they're one of those suppliers. So yeah.
Cool. I don't know if you can answer this, but obviously is the intention that wherever you order this from, it will essentially ship at the same time.
That's the aim. That's the aim.
Yeah.
The aim is, where possible, is to be smart with how we do our batch shipping.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be a shipping expert. My shipping knowledge is 2 years old, so that's compared to other people who've been doing it for all their lives. So, but the aim is to essentially put like batch 1 on a boat, and then batch 2 on a plane, and then batch 3 releases locally, and sort of so that they should all, in theory, get to the market a little bit sooner. I can't guarantee, it might be the case that our direct stuff might ship a little bit sooner, like, because it comes straight out the factory door and then you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm not offering that as an incentive. I'm not saying that as anything to upset any providers. If that was the case, it might be by days rather than
which is fine. And
the idea is we're trying to. Yeah, no, it's a fine question, and I think we're trying to do it because I want to look after retailers as well. I don't want to be in the position where one retailer is getting their reuse a year later than everybody else. I don't want to be in that position because I don't think it's fair on them.
No, and that's brilliant because I think we're not talking. I mean, a matter of days or even a couple of weeks is fine. It's getting away from that thing we're used to with Hot Toys, where it comes out in Hong Kong, batch 1, you pay through the nose for it. Then a month later, batch 2. If you're going direct to Hong Kong sellers, and then Sideshow get it, and then it takes another 3 months for the UK to get it. If this is all basically in a window, give or take, the shipping time
that's exactly the plan. I mean, a lot of these very big retailers, we do it with Sideshow, they're on there. Some guy said he pre-ordered from there. They have their own shipping and export methods, and I'm guessing at this point, I don't work for them and I won't ask them the question, but common sense would be that if they've got their own shipping and their own export and their own containers, common sense would be that they would fill that container with everything that they've got. So even if a release has to sit in that container a little while, until it's filled, and then they export it across. And that's why I think that quite often you'll see like other figures come in waves of all these 3 pre-orders have arrived at the same time.
Because they're maximising what they're paying for that box. Right. Yeah, that makes sense because if you're in a world of 700% of shipping, you're definitely going to maximize. You need to fill up every last centimetre of that box. Yeah, definitely.
Volumetric weight is a sentence I never want to, like a set of words that I never want to hear for the rest of my life. I have to continue to discuss.
Definitely. Anything else you want to say about this particular figure, Andy?
I mean, what I am going to do over the next few days, we're going to shoot some sort of I've brought it up to camera. Obviously, I've got the rigging from when I did my YouTube stuff. We're going to shoot something over the next few days and talk through a little bit of it, kind of like a director's commentary or a first look. I want to be really clear that I'm not reviewing my own figure. Right? And that's probably why you'll have seen a drop off on my YouTube channel, because I'm starting to feel it's a little bit unfair for me to start talking smack about other people's stuff whilst we're doing stuff. Even though there's things I might want, it might not come from the right earnest place. Even though I will always be as objective as I can, I can't 100% guarantee that there isn't something, I want that license or whatever going off in the back of my head. So I don't know if it's fair. But so what we're going to do is we're going to perhaps do something like that so we can answer, sort of any questions and stuff like that. And it might be worth, if any of you viewers have got any questions, we'll try and cover as many of those things as we've got, in that little video and so on and so forth.
Brilliant.
Have you got any other questions? Anything you want to ask? Anything weird and wild and wonderful?
So I know. I think this one's come up a few times.
Yeah, and Konami was mentioned.
The Konami one. That's good.
Okie doke. Okay, that says it. Yep.
It's one of those where you hear that sniper shot from window cracks from off camera. I can't so the position is there's licenses I would love to talk about. I'd really like to get Ken from over there and bring it in front of the camera. I can't because of that situation.
Oh, what a tease!
But it's in a box there. So my point, when by the way, I want to be really clear. In the trailer when we did the shot, and they were both in.
Yeah.
We did that with 2 real figures. It wasn't a matter of we had a Ryu and coloured it or Photoshop. No, that was a figure there. Okay, we did have to do a composite where we put him there and then put that there and then removed it so we could do the depth of field stuff. But they were both there in that shot. So yeah,
Brilliant.
and I took all those shots as well. So all these preview pictures I took.
Nice.
So So all the poses and stuff were me, and then our wonderful art team put all the lovely pictures and everything behind them. So all that stuff it can do because I've done it for those photos. So it's as simple as that. But yeah, other licenses and future stuff, there's a real rigorous process where you have to go through what you can announce and when and so on and so forth. Obviously, you see Konami listed on the site. We put that there deliberately. I can tell you officially, we are not making Pro Evolution Soccer.
Damn.
If that's fair.
Yeah.
I know you might. Yeah, no, we're definitely not making that. That's the license. I can tell you, we have nothing to do with anything else. I will completely deny. So
Danny Lee says Contra. Is there a possibility that there's other Capcom licenses?
So from Konami's. Contra's Konami, but yeah, there's.
Sorry.
Look,
sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Video game nerd
confused,
and stuff like that. So it's fine. Don't worry. I can't say anything. I can't promise anything. All I'll say is there is lots of opportunity. I'm a very big fan of a lot of video games, ranging from older stuff like Contra through to I don't know, like anything in Konami's library, you know, everything from Castlevania, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not my speed, but, you know, there's lots of stuff that we have that I might not be talking about that could be. And same with Capcom. I would absolutely... There's so much. Seriously, if we got to the point where you guys were, like, fully in, and I can make a Frank West because of Marvel vs. Capcom, and I can do weird Dead Rising characters, I'm in. Right, you know, as weird as I can get. You want Mega Man? I'll do it. It's fine. We'll get there. But it's about that support and drive to be able to make those things.
So, you know, I'm not going to ask you to name names, but so roughly how many sort of other licenses are you currently involved with? Is it 5, 10,
I'm involved in a few things and conversations as well. So you've always with this kind of thing, you've always got to be in the position where you're not just thinking about what you've got, but you're thinking about what's 2 years in the future potentially. Because new film could release tomorrow, or an anniversary could be coming up, or it may be that there's just the perfect window to make something that nobody's thought of making. And it's about getting the wheel, and sometimes as well there's also where a license may never... American Psycho is a really good example. The 1/6 license wasn't available for a very, very long time because you used to have to go and get the likeness rights and the figure rights separate, which is quite an expensive process because the star wants their rights and their appearance and then their fee, and then the figure wants it, and then you've got to dramatically increase the cost of the item to make those amounts of money back because they're not cheap. With, you know, in the perfect time where the same company was representing both meant we could get American Psycho and made it incredibly easy to just sort of nip that. There is licenses where that sort of thing has happened, and there's one thing I think we're in the process of signing at the moment, which I'm really excited about, because I'm an 80s guy, and 80s action movies are amazing. And the video game stuff, and big into video games, so there's lots of things that, like you said, Konami on the website, that's coming in, and if your eagle-eyed viewers have seen, obviously we've teased the Ali bust, and that's very, very close to being out with people. It's literally packing and shipping that's the bane of my life at the moment, but that's going to be, you know, very, very soon with people. But, you know, if you go and look at the early Ali sculpts, you will have seen a body in the background, so that might give a hint to something else coming as well. So that's probably the best I could talk about future things without.
No, that's fantastic. I think it's great that you know we've got a true fan of these releases at the heart of it all, because sometimes you think, you see what Hot Toys release and you're kind of like, is that just based on money or things like that, but you're not going to release something that you don't want on your own shelf, and you don't want to make an absolute awesome job of it. So I think that counts for a lot. And obviously, we're able to kind of access and talk to you and ask you questions and stuff, which is kind of unprecedented for us, really. We don't have people in Hot Toys we can talk to and things like that.
No,
so
and
it's
do you know what?
really good.
Let me be really honest about that. And I'm going to say this as me, not as IconiQ. So
yeah.
Sometimes it's difficult. Okay, I answer a lot of the questions myself, and sometimes there's a lot of the questions where you're almost repeating yourself verbatim. And obviously, because things are international, you'll get a message at 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, and you're trying to answer that, and so on and so forth. I totally get why some of the bigger companies with the more traffic don't answer back, because they just might not have the capacity to.
No.
At the moment, I probably don't have the capacity to, but I'm a glutton for punishment. And I know if I've asked a question, I'd like to try and respond. It doesn't mean that everybody will always get the answer. There's things I have to keep close to my chest. There's licenses that we've got that I'm under NDA, and I'm not even allowed to talk to certain people within the company about. You know what I mean? Like, what you can send out has to be all signed off. And so it's a tricky one, because you've got to keep that balance between replying to people and being nice and approachable, but also sometimes it can get really frustrating because you want to tell people stuff, but you've kind of got to go, I can't tell you that, but here's my answer that I'm allowed to give you. And I can understand where people might get frustrated with that as well. And then you combine that with multiple social media platforms and so on and so forth, it does get very, very tricky. It pales in comparison to some of the silly YouTube comments I used to get back in the day, or YouTube questions. I could write a book on that, like, do you think I could build a Detolf on my own? How do I know? I don't know you. But that was a legit question I got. Like not one, like several. No, but do you think on my own, do you think I could build I don't know your DIY ability. Are you 6? I don't know.
It's perfectly possible, but you may not be able to do it.
Exactly. So it does pale in comparison to some of the sillier comments I got back in the day. But you do have to limit yourself, and it can be frustrating from both parties. So what I would say, yet again, is if you've asked a question and I've given me or somebody else has given a very kind of vague answer, because sometimes we have to. And that's why I understand why some companies just go, no, I'm out, I'm not discussing it. Because it's the easy way. It's the easy way of doing it, and you're going to cut your traffic in half for messing about. So I do understand it.
Cool. So when's this guy due out? I didn't ask
he's Q2, Q3, dependent on the world and shipping. So again, we have to sort of give a longer window. The beauty of Ryu in particular is we already have the body, we already have the mold. That's why it works, right? It's not like where we can sort of cobble together an existing body and hope that that's going to come together. So, and as you've seen, the hands and stuff, we're already in the process of already in that process. I think before the show I talked about with you guys that we've already done bits of moulding for the hair and heads and separate moulds and stuff. So it means that we can give that that smaller window than some companies who might say, oh, we've got 2 years to wait for a figure, because we've gone through that process of already engineering the body, testing the body. So it's now a matter of producing them en masse depending on the amount of orders. And then producing the heads and the accessories and hands and the bases and all that stuff, which are all sorted really. So,
cool. And obviously, if the pre-orders for this go well, then you'd hope to have probably some other Street Fighter figures available to pre-order before the release of Ryu.
I think there's possibility that Ken will be sooner than the full release of Ryu. I think that's a definite possibility.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, thanks very much, Andy. It's been really, really
no
a pleasure to speak to you. it's excellent. Feel free to stick around for as long as you like.
Yeah, I'll stick around for a little bit. That's fine.
Yeah. We understand you're a very busy man, and the phone's probably ringing all the time. But yeah, you're welcome whenever.
I put it on Do Not Disturb, so I'll probably get back, and there's like 36 messages. So if I'm not answering you on Facebook, it's because I'm here. So
just loads of messages. People going, I've got a display case at home. Could I build it on my own?
Yeah, can I build it on my own? Yeah. Honestly, that's a real comment, and it's years ago, and it's still at the forefront of my mind. I can just pluck it out. So yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's great. I think it's really exciting. So well done on that.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Absolutely loving it. So we've gone from the amazing to the inane crap that we've bought over the last couple of weeks. So let's go.
New this fortnight.
Yeah. Oh. New.
Go on.
Yeah. You can play the thing if you want. I forgot we were going to play that.
I just did.
Well, I only got new.
Did not come up?
Just said new.
New this fortnight.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, I wanted to add a Cairo swordsman to my Raiders collection, and I've looked into it for ages, and there's not really a simple way of sort of kit bashing it for nothing. So you kind of got to go with the Hasbro figure, which is I don't know when that came out, a long time ago, 20 years ago probably, and I've never seen one for a decent price. I didn't want to pay too much for one. I saw one come up for 30 quid, so I thought, right, I'll have him. Not quite sure what I'm going to do about the sculpt, but we'll deal with that later. So I got him in, and I did a body swap on him. Oh, we lost Ian. Did a body swap on him. Yeah, I think so. And yeah,
I'm back.
He's coming back. Here he is.
Yeah, I think my internet's playing up a little bit, which is super frustrating. So if I take my camera off, it might just push a little bit more out. So you can actually get me.
Yeah, did a body swap and everything. Kind of repainted the sword. Well, I've got some nice kind of metallic pens, so they're quite easy to recolour bits and pieces. The sculpt is arse. So I kind of thinking, well, where can I find a head sculpt? And quite often my sort of go-to for if you want a generic character is DID. They've done some really good, like they're military figures, and the head sculpts are really good quality. I got one on my Alien Drake figure and bits and pieces. So I thought maybe they've done this sort of look, and I couldn't find anything. And then just as luck would have it, somebody, I forget the guy's name now, it's really bad, launched a buy and sell DID figures group on Facebook that I got invited to join. So I joined that, and I went, excuse me, mate, do you know if DID brought out a figure that would do for this? And he's like, yeah, there's an Afghanistan soldier figure. So I was like, oh, brilliant, have a look for that. And yeah, perfect. So I was looking at those, and I didn't want to buy the full figure and everything. And I found someone that was selling the the body and the head sculpt for £45. So I bought that, and it's brilliant. So kind of the figures cost me about 75 quid. I really like it. I think it's cool. I mean, it's only in the movie for like a minute, but it's so iconic, and in a sea of beige and brown and everything in that cabinet, it's a nice kind of contrast to the all the indies and stuff in there. So yeah, quite pleased with how he turned out, really.
It looks really good.
Yeah. So that's cool. And then the other thing's not really, I picked up The Thing on 4K. Well, it's 4K Steelbook. I think that's the Amazon one. Great film. I think you guys are probably both pretty big fans of it.
No, never heard of it. It's never.
No. I won't talk. I've stuck a bit in the film and TV section just to talk about the 4K version, so I won't say any more. But it's definitely worth picking up if you're even a partial fan of the movie, because it's definitely impressive.
Nice.
What about
You
you,
done
mate?
well there. You're all a bunch of bastards for getting me into Lord of the Rings. Because I used to rip the shit out of it for years, and now I'm loving it. absolutely loving it.
There's
I'm
like
reading
this
the
wave
books.
that's gone through the whole CW team. Is like everyone's just gone Lord of the Rings mad, and they're all buying stuff, and it's
the
brilliant.
thing is, I remember watching it years back, and I remember watching the standard editions, and I managed to slog my way through it, and I was like, oh, never again. And then everyone was banging on about it, so I opened my drawer and I found them. I didn't even realise I still had them, so I stuck them back on, and I probably got about halfway through the Fellowship and was like, oh, I fucking can't do this. And I think you mentioned to us, like, try watching the extendeds.
Yeah,
and I was like, that doesn't make sense. If I can't sit through the normal ones,
I've got another hour of each to watch.
Another hour's not going to make fuck all difference. It fucking did, big time, because there was loads of bits.
Totally with you. Totally with you.
There was loads of bits in it where I was like, well, now that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Like, I now know why. Like, I couldn't quite understand why Bilbo was hiding from his relatives. Like, I didn't get it. I didn't even realise they were his fucking relatives until I watched the extended edition. And I was like, oh, well, now that makes complete sense. Now he doesn't come across as just an ungrateful arsehole. I get it. So I've just fallen head over heels in love with it. And I'm working my way through my collection, kind of trying to refocus it and get it a little bit more streamlined. And I figured, I have a spare cube. Let's go for some Lord of the Rings stuff. So I've been after a Gandalf for a while, and I've sent a couple over to. So, long story short, there was one I saw. It was in the States, and I was like, and I said to our group chat, if I was in the States, I'd be all over that. And I got, well, it's a bit expensive. 2 minutes later, Zach's fucking bought it. I was like, oh, you bastard. So I said, look, keep an eye out for anything, because I want a Gandalf, but I'm not, at the end of the day, it's still a Sideshow one. It's still very, very old. I'm not going to spend an absolute arm and a leg on it. Because over here, they were going for about 140, 50 quid. And I was like, that's just too much. For a figure that old,
the age of
just
that figure,
too much.
Yeah.
So I was like, nah. And he saw one over his way, dirt cheap, boxed, never out of the box. He wanted to keep a few bits out of it, so I was like, look, take the bits you want, send me everything else, and you just instead of buying the bits off me, just cover the shipping. So he did that, and Gandalf, Sir Bobby Gandalf, turned up.
You got it pretty quick, didn't you? I was quite super impressed with that.
Well, it was, but then it kind of, Royal Mail being Royal Mail, their tracking isn't great sometimes. So it was like about 6 days ago. It's like it's left the origin country. So you kind of went, okay, and then 5 days later, it's like, yep, we're still in the air. So
Circling.
So, and then, but when you looked at the American tracking, it was like, yep, it's in this depot in this county, and fucking fantastic. And Royal Mail was like, well, I don't know, it's in the air. So I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah. So it turned up, and I've got to admit, it's a really nice figure. I can now see why
that
perhaps wasn't going cheap.
Good.
Yeah. The scope, I mean, I plan to body swap it, repaint it, and do all kinds to it. But I'm looking at the sculpts, I'm going, when I compare that against other figures of the same age that Sideshow have done, I'm like, this is night and day. Like, when I look at Strider, what that looked like before I body swapped it and repainted it, I was like, it's night and day. They're just two completely different, in a different league. So over the weekend, I'm going to try and do a bit of work to that between finishing everything I said I'd finish. So I've got that to work on. And then I also ordered from 1/6 Corner the Asmus Battle of Helm's Deep Legolas. So this is my first Asmus figure. Never touched anything Asmus before. I've got their Ash on pre-order, so that should be here before Christmas, I think. So I was a bit like, okay, let's see what this is like. And I was so impressed. So this was, I think it was 155 quid, including shipping, everything, lock, stock. I was happy as pig in shit when this turned up. And normally I get figures and I look at them and go, right, what is it that I'm going to do? Am I going to tweak something? Am I going to swap the body round? Am I going to repaint bits? There's really, the only thing I've done on this which I would recommend anyone do, is the cloak on it. So the cloak is the only thing that mildly pissed me off, because they've wired the hood, which is a fantastic move. Most hoods should be wired as far as I'm concerned. But what they had done is instead of sewing that wire in and then coming up with a way to clasp the two parts of the hood together under the chin, was they had pulled the wire all the way around, nipped it round each other, and then put the little brooch bit in that.
The Lothlorien leaf.
Yeah. So yeah, so I knew what that was. I had no idea what that was.
No,
so
fine. Same here.
yeah. So when you put it on, what would happen is the cloak itself would start to ride back, and you just see these two horrible bits of wire with the leaf in the middle. So before, in fact, that's bless you. So what I did before we came on was I just got some thread and sewed it up, so it now is enclosed, and it doesn't. The cape now doesn't ride back as though it's like a Superman cape. It kind of stays like an actual Jedi hood. So that is the only thing I've done on it, and that's the only thing I plan to do on it. But they've done loads of really smart things, like they've given you ratcheted joints on the shoulders and the elbows. They've done stuff like the shoulder armour isn't one piece, so it's loads of different pieces. So when so you can get that pose where he's taking an arrow out the quiver. The daggers on his back, well, they're just hilts. So you get proper daggers, and then you just get the hilts that just peg in. I've never been a huge fan of rooted hair, but on this, with the top of it being moulded and then having rooted, I think works pretty well. It gives you that movement in the head, so you're not always fighting the hair.
How do you find the colour match between the sculpted
Fine.
and the
in my display case, it looks absolutely fine. There's a bit in these pictures. There's a bit of a colour difference because I use my painting lights to light my photos, so you get that reflection off of it.
Yeah.
But actually, in the case, it looks fantastic. The instructions were a bit of a shitbag for the belt, because the buckle the buckle that's on the belt is actually different to the one that in the instructions.
Oh, okay.
So
well,
it
this
looks
is for the sword
completely
belt.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so it's kind of going hook it through here, then loop it round there, then tuck it in here, and I'm like, what the fuck am I looping round? You're telling me to like put it like hook it up in one bit and then tuck it round here, but I've only got one buckle. So that took a bit of figuring out.
Because the shoulder armour come attached, is it?
Yeah, so literally
that's
everything.
A second strap, isn't it?
Yeah, everything comes attached on it apart from the sword belt, and even the bits in the back, the daggers and stuff, are all come pre-attached, and they just slot in. They're not like attached. Those whole sheaths are just slotted into the back, and then the quiver is all part of that kind of rigging. So I was generally quite impressed with it.
I think I'm pleased to hear it, because I've been singing Asmus's praises for some years now, and it's hard. It's a hard battle. A lot of people won't, I know John's not a fan, and people say that their likenesses aren't good and everything. And all right, they've maybe not hit the levels of Hot Toys and stuff, but I think everything else, like the weapons, the clothing, the armour, it's all spot on. The bodies are good as well. I've got my V1 Legolas in a full shooting pose, and I love them to bits. I really do. And the price point as well is where it should be.
Yeah.
Not to not to not talk about Ryo here, but it's where we'd want it to be. 150, 160 quid. Is a comfortable amount, and
so this is the version without the diorama base. So this is the
which is ridiculous, because that's huge,
massive. Yeah. The only thing I'd say with the sculpt is it could do with just perhaps being pinched in. It needs to be. It's a bit too full in the face. It could do with being a little bit.
Yeah, people say maybe it's a little bit more like the slightly fatter Hobbit version, the older Legolas. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I would say as well, I mean, because they've made previous versions and because there's other stuff in the line, there's a lot of stuff where they can reuse a mold or retool a mold, which will make the prices more effective.
Yeah.
And so sort of like with the, I mean, I've reviewed a lot of the Asthma stuff, you know, from way back when some of the runs were like, you know, oh, we've done 500 of these, you know.
Yeah, I was watching
and
your
their tailoring has always been on point. Their tailoring has always been so good.
Amazing.
And you know, and it's something really, you know, to aspire to, because they do a really good job of it. I just, I mean, I've noticed they've announced a load of anime licenses, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do when they diverge to as they go forward.
Yes, yeah.
But, they're great, and I think you know, I started my Lord of the Rings collection with the sideshow figures, but I was picking them up for, you know, 50, 60 quid each, because there wasn't really any interest in Lord of the Rings. Had kind of died down a bit, and people were moving these on quite cheap. But again, you know, some of the sideshow stuff's not bad. I've got some sideshow bits and pieces on some of mine, you know. It's a good place to start. But yeah, Asmus, people shouldn't be so harsh on them. I think I like them as a company, and they do seem to listen to, you know, a bit like Andy. You know, they do have a voice that we can actually talk to them and say, look, you know, blah blah blah, what's happening this. And again, like the latest one is that the promo shots for Gollum and Smeagol that we had on the last show, people noted that he had hairy feet, and they were saying, well, I don't think he has hair on his feet. And that's kind of got to the point where the guy that we can talk to on the forums is going to take it back to the developers and say, look, he doesn't have hair on his feet. He's not a hobbit. He's similar to a hobbit. Yeah, so there's things like that, and you know, it's great to be able to actually feed back on.
There's a guy in a factory with a Bic razor and all these golems just shaving
shaving their feet. Yeah.
The guy who runs it. The guy who's quite high up in Asmus is called Andy as well. Ironically, it's not me on this.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, he's a really nice, approachable guy. You know, and he's very into the stuff he does, and sort of like to go back and to change that.
Yeah.
You know, it's good that they didn't just go out with it and just hope for the best.
I think when you repaint that sideshow Gandalf, Ian, you'll love him. It'll transform him.
So over the weekend, what I plan to do is darken the robes on it, repaint the sword sheath, because I'm probably not going to do the sword itself, just because I'm going to get a load of paint rub. And then have a crack at repaint the scope, kind of pad the body out a bit, because he's a bit of an anorexic Gandalf on the sideshow bodies.
He is, but I think once you get a much darker sort of wash into that beard, that makes a big difference. And
just to bring out some of the detail on it. So I'm really looking forward to doing that one. And I've got some pipes I printed, so he'll have his pipe.
Oh yes,
which will be handy. And then the airbar key and all that kind of stuff I've got. So
who's next on the radar? You said about Gimli to me.
I keep looking at Gimli.
He's a cracking figure.
I can get him for, so 1/6 corner, I have him for about 180 quid.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of looking at I'm kind of thinking sort of loads of pre-orders have come in all at once, so I'm kind of looking at the stuff now. Yeah, and I'm going, what can I get rid of to get Gimli? And I'm kind of, so I've got, you know, the Ssr Batman, all that coming in. I'm thinking, I really like that, but I kind of like Gimli more, and I'm kind of thinking, well, do I get rid of that and then get Gimli instead? And I don't know. I need to.
To me, Gimli's their best figure so far, and that's and I think the overall standard is very good. But Gimli is fantastic. Yeah, love him.
Yeah, and then I got that Aragon Strider, the sideshow one. So I've started working on this. I've not finished it yet. So I repainted the head sculpt just to stand in till I've ordered a custom one, which I'm not sure will look better or not. But it was all I could find at the time. So I've ordered a new sculpt for it. I repainted the one that's on there just to stand me in for a little bit, because the actual sculpt isn't too bad.
It looks alright.
It's just what they've done, and this is what Sideshow used to do quite a lot at the time, is when they did eyebrows and like short beards, is instead of sculpting the detail on, they would just like gouged out of the sculpt.
Right.
So so on this one, his eyebrow, one of them is way longer than the other and kind of bends down towards his nose. So when you come to paint it, it always and he has quite fair eyebrows in a way. It always looks like he's pulling some fucking stupid face, and then the beard as well, like where they sculpted the lip and then just gouged out the kind of tash. It's really fucking frustrating. It's really hard to kind of paint it so that because I do it all with washes and stuff like that, so it's not like you chuck a wash on something that's gouged out and all of a sudden it's like really in your fucking face. So
it's full all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, what I plan to do with this is dye the inner tunic black, because that's watching the film again at the weekend. It's pretty black all the way through. His coat changes colour from scene to scene. Sometimes it's like pretty much this perfect green, and other times it's black again. So I need to make my mind up whether I want to do something with that, but I'm not going to be able to dye that because it's like a pleather type material. So if I dump that in hot water, it's going to end up fucking shrinking. So I'm going to have to see if I can give it. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to see if I can give it a couple of washes and kind of take it from there. But hopefully the new sculpt to turn up, because I repainted the scabbard and the sword and that, so it's actual chrome, and the hands. And the hands on this were super detailed. One thing about Sideshow is their hands are super detailed compared to other companies, and they're soft enough that you're not scraping the shit out of everything you put in them. So that's always quite nice. But
I want to say something massively controversial. Is that the Helm's Deep Aragon by Azimuth? That head sculpt I really like in hand, but no matter what I did from a photography point of view or a video point of view, could I get it to come up like it looked to the eye? And so if you ever come across one of those, because the deluxe edition came with two very similar heads, so quite a lot of people moved the second head on. It might be something that's worth a little bit of your time, because I honestly rate that, but it's one of those where you want him looking up through his eyebrows at you rather than straight on.
The frustrating thing was I was watching on eBay. There was one on one of the standard editions on eBay for about 150 quid. And I thought, that's about what I want to pay for it. I don't really want to pay anything more than that. And I waited, and no one bid on it, and off it fucked. And then it came back, and I waited again, and off it fucked again. And I thought, right, if it comes on again, because the guy would just list it straight away as soon as it came off. So if it comes on again, I'm just going to stick a bid in it. No worries. Fuck, I didn't list it again. So then I saw this for like 70 quid, and I thought, well, it's a bit of a project. I'll see what I can do. The moment I bought this, it went back up on, and I was like, oh, fuck's sake. And I thought, I've already drowning in pre-orders, so I was like, oh, fuck. Because the idea originally was I wanted Gimli, Eragon, and Legolas. Because I'm not a big fan of the Hobbits. The Hobbits wind me up. The more I watched Lord of the Rings, the more I kind of warmed to them, but I'm not a fan of Frodo. It's effectively, the Lord of the Rings is 101 ways to stab a Hobbit. Every single film, he's getting stabbed by something and just going in every single film, every single one. It just winds me up. The other two, I don't mind.
See, Sam, I always thought that for me, Sam was like, I wish that they'd played sort of I'm just trying to think what the correct term, sort of like, Sam in the book and stuff like that, from my understanding, clearly isn't the smartest guy, and I think it's a way that I think they could have been played a lot more than that, whereas it comes off very sort of comedic. It doesn't come across as he's a little bit that he's struggling developmentally, which I think is perhaps more would be more suitable if they played it that way, because the point where he steps up is really big for somebody who's challenged in certain ways. To actually step up and become a hero is a big thing. And but in the movies it comes across as he's just a bit of a dumbass, and it annoys me a bit more, because I think there's so much more opportunity that they could have gone with that.
Yeah, because I've just started reading the book, so I've just got past the Bombadil bit, and they fucked him off. And that was just weird. Like, it was just strange. But what I noticed reading the books was that there's a clear, like, class divide within the Hobbits. Of, like, Frodo is Lord of the Manor. He's the boss. He's in charge. And everyone else is kind of like, they're his mates, but they pretty much eke a living off of him. Like, they're kind of like his entourage. They're like his kind of hangers on, and Sam as well is, and it's all very hey nonny no kind of stuff, which I'm quite glad they didn't mirror in the films, because I wouldn't have part with that. It would be like
no.
They effectively in the book it's like they're a band of roving Morris dancers. That's how I kind of like see them. So.
Yeah, we've got Mark going now. I don't know if have you checked out the Ringcast, Andy?
I haven't.
We've done 3 shows now, so we've branched off into a Lord of the Rings specific show. As part of the
I think I've seen it
CW
advertised.
network.
It's just a matter of time at the moment.
That's
the luxury I don't have.
But it's Mark's show, Mark Pearson, in the comments here, and he's a very, very passionate Lord of the Rings fan, as you can see here. But yeah, we try to do a show about once a month. It's good fun, get to geek out a bit on Lord of the Rings and stuff. See, there's some expensive stuff going on there. He's ordered the Prime 1 Balrog with Gandalf.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, amazing piece, but beyond my. I think he's sold a lot of figures to get there, but
that's it. When you find the right piece, though, when you find that centerpiece, it's worth doing.
Definitely. I think, like as we were talking about before, I think the thing that puts me off as much as anything is the shipping costs of these things. Because they weigh an absolute.
It feels like
ton,
dead money.
Yeah. And if you're paying like $500 just to have it sent to you, notwithstanding the fact that you get customs on it and all this stuff, you end up doubling the price of it. So I'm sticking clear of stuff like that. But I definitely would love one of those.
That Sauron got me checking between the seats for Joe.
It's funny. Because Mark's been buying up all the Lego sets as well, which is costing him a fair few quid.
Lego's become its own currency at this point.
Yeah.
It might as well be Bitcoin.
It's worth more than gold. I
Pay
think.
for your shopping with bricks.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So have you managed to pick anything new up, Andy?
Mate, honestly,
you don't have that time.
Look, literally, I'm not going to lie. I've got Venom and Hulk sat down there on the floor because I haven't had time to empty the cabinets to put them in. So they just stood there, it's come to the point where they're like Gardem gnomes, and Joe gives me occasional looks like, this is getting a bit silly now. We ventured out of the cabinets and they were walking around the living room, and So I've got those, but then there's Iron Patriots on his way, and it's just fun.
Yeah, everything's hitting just before Christmas, which is exactly what we all needed.
It'll keep coming all the way till Chinese New Year, because that's what always happens.
Yeah,
you wait New Year's Day. Oh, we've done 3 releases today, and you've pre-ordered all of them.
Yeah, it will be. It will be everything I fucking pre-ordered, and it won't be the small stuff either. It'll be like the double packs and things like that. It'll be the big stuff.
Any money, I bet, if you could, from a betting point of view, the Boba Fett double pack will drop before the new Fett series, because they will put up a new Fett for that Fett series.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. That's not what I'm looking forward to.
No,
so that's a big one.
Right.
Just knew I should have
move on.
It. Yeah. So let's move into. Yes, that one.
New releases.
So professional. That one. There we go. Yeah, so we...
Strangely enough, we've actually got a ton of new releases, haven't we? And not that many
Shit
pre-orders.
tons.
It's kind of like...
Yeah.
Before Christmas, what a surprise.
I know, yeah.
As John would say, it's done a full 360.
Yeah, it's completely flipped on its head this time. So, we've got the Blitzway Where's Wally, or for the you American heathens, Waldo. 6 scale, and unfortunately, like a bell end, I didn't get a price for this one. But I think we spoke about this not too long ago, probably less than 6 months ago. I really like this. I think this is a stroke of genius, an absolute stroke of genius.
And all the
It's
stuff
a stroke of genius for me, because I can pretend I have it and just say, yeah, it's in the collection somewhere.
Yeah,
it saves me a pre-order.
Yeah. The thing is, if someone parted this out, people just go mental just for the hat. Just take that and just tuck it behind something. And go, oh, well, there you go. He's there. So yeah, I think this is brilliant. It's a weird.
It's nice
license
to see different
for them
stuff.
to pick up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice to see something a bit different, and yeah, I like it. I don't know why this particular figure must be in danger of its crutch drying out, because the silicone pack has to be positioned just on its nuts. You know, Where's Wally does have dry nuts, so that has to go
always
in
good.
there.
Yep.
Which is
Yeah,
always
it's cool.
great. Yeah. And then we've got this one, the Ssr Hush Batman for 187 quid. So I have it on good authority. These are shipping out tomorrow, and they're in separate batches, I think. So there's another batch coming out next month. But I've got one of these, and I am so looking forward to it turning up. I'm a big Hush Batman fan. This is probably one of my favourite looks for him. So for 187 quid is probably a little bit on the high side, but then it does come with 2 sculpts, and I didn't realise the 2 collar pieces as well. So you're getting, you're getting quite a bit out of it.
Yeah, I've liking the look of this one now. Like, I wasn't that bothered before, but I want a Batman in a real sort of classic comic book suit, and this one seems to fit the bill. I've not really got any interest in the bandage sculpt or anything. I've read the books, but yeah, I think for a classic Batman suit, it looks really good.
I'm very interested to see if that bust is a recast of an existing bust.
What the
reckon,
bust part
if the bust part, I'm really interested to see if that's the old 11 one.
Okay, I mean, they made it clear it doesn't come with it.
Oh, right, okay.
Unless it's hidden underneath the styrofoam, but it's not listed in the the full list of accessories and stuff. So I think that it's a bit of a misnomer that they've got it on there, because I don't think it comes with it.
They're showing it off as a picture.
Yeah.
It seems like a bit of a swing and a miss not to include a type of bust to display the second head sculpt, if I'm honest, because I love the fact they're giving you 2 head sculpts, and I love the fact that companies are giving you 2 head sculpts, and I think that's brilliant. But I always feel a little bit sad when I have to just leave it in a box in the cupboard.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think very often though you've got to think about again, it's how much is that thing costing to ship?
Yeah.
How much is that plastic costing to mould? How long do those take to mould and cast? How many times did they have to re-etch that mould? Now, if they've just recast an existing bust, obviously that saves you a little bit of trouble. But that can be a bit of a pain. Especially since we all know if you're shipping over 2.5 kilograms from China,
2 kilograms,
all of a sudden your price jumps. So if it's a heavy figure as it is, and you add that, then all of a sudden it becomes
it pushes it up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I started printing little stands just for heads that I could just pop the head on next to, just so particularly like with the Hot Toy stuff, like with the clones and that, like the clones that came with an actual portrait, that you'd be like, that seems a shame to just have that in a box, like.
Yeah, I agree.
So I like that kind of stuff. But I'll
I'm really interested to see what you think of it, mate. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Yeah, so I'll have that soon, which will be good. And then
Let me know how it
while
looks
we're
in
on,
person.
it's so the suit. I'm a little bit worried about. It looks a little bit baggy in the photos, but I'm hoping.
I see. I want to stick it on that massive roided out world box body that's coming, so that it will stretch onto that.
It probably would, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think you'd get away with it, but you probably the thing is you want more of a Dark Knight Batman for that.
Yeah.
As opposed to Hush. But yeah, it could work.
I don't mind it. I think it's quite a generic looking suit. I think it could make it work. Yeah.
So while we're on the Batman train, we have the So-So Detective Vigilante for £121. I'm not a huge fan of this, if I'm honest. I when we first saw pictures, I was quite interested in it.
Yeah.
But I think it's the way the armour sits that it makes it look like the arms are way too long. Particularly on that photo on the right. And I don't get me wrong, I get it. These are camera phone pictures.
Yeah, it's taken from an odd angle.
With strange angles, but it's almost kind of got gorilla arms that they just look a bit too long for me. But £121 can't really complain too much.
No,
it ticks the boxes.
Yeah, it's
what
all
do you
right.
guys reckon?
And the cape looks a little bit dodgy. I don't know if you could do much with that. It seems to poof out a bit too much. Yeah. There's no drape to it or anything.
It comes down to this: how much work are you willing to put into it as a third party? And I think, and there's a few questions that I'd ask. Like, I mean, it's great. It comes with an unmasked Robin head, but who's using it?
Yeah.
Who's I mean that's cool, but who's using it? And I think there's a few sections that are really quite bright on it. So I'd be wanting to repaint anything that looks bright to make it look a lot darker. So.
Yeah, I think
it's what it is. It's what it is, but I think as an ongoing project, it could be okay.
Oh, for the price, yeah.
If you collect Harry Potter figures and you want a Neville Longbottom, that other sculpt, spot on.
Yeah, work for a year.
They could
year
probably
7 Longbottom.
Give you, yep. So if you want a Neville Longbottom has Robin for £121, this is it. This is the one. So, but yeah, I get what you mean. Like, I think when you look at stuff like this, and you go, okay, £121. How much work am I willing to put in? This is what I call a project figure. You buy it. You don't buy it to kind of stick straight on the shelf. You buy it because you're gonna have a fiddle around with it, mess about with it, and for £121, if you massively fuck it up, it's not the end of the world. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to lose £121.
No.
But it's slightly more palatable than going, I've just spent £300 on a hot toy and I've just fucked it up.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's horses for courses, I think.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. I think like we're all quite seasoned customizers, so we wouldn't be scared of something like that. But, I appreciate that a lot of people don't do that and they just want to get it out of the box and put it on the shelf. So, yeah. But, again, at the price, I still don't think you're going too wrong.
No.
If you picked it up.
No, definitely not. While we're on cheap figures, we've got the 3-0 Rangers. They finally released £74 each on Sideshow. Now, obviously, we got shipping and tax on that. Or for the complete 6-pack, £419 plus shipping and tax. I don't think you can really go wrong. I don't look at these and go, I don't see the Rangers. But at the same time, go on.
I heard a really interesting story about these, so I'll fill you in a minute.
Yeah.
I'll let you keep.
Yeah. So I've got the Star Race ones, and I'm not going to get rid of my Star Race ones to get these. I don't see a big difference in them, to be perfectly honest. I think with Rangers, particularly 6-scale Rangers, you're either going to get knobbly knees like these, or you're going to get weird knees like I've got on mine, where they kind of covered the joints. So, but I've seen just as many people love these that hate them over the last couple of days. But I honestly, £74 each.
Yeah, I know.
Fuck it, like
amazing, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm genuinely lost for words at how good that is for 74 quid. And then is it Mezco have just announced they're doing a 1/12 line as well?
They'll end up being the same price.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I quite like these.
So I heard a rumor about these ones because I had a conversation about these a long while ago, and you know how there was the unofficial group of set of these that came out.
Yeah.
Yep.
I heard that the people who made the unofficial ones basically made these 3-0. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, that's two different people that told me that it was literally like so they'd made them and then 3-0 got the license and just went to the same people.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, that explains the price to me because you've not got to do any molding on those heads. On those heads, you can literally just go stick the colours in those. It's very simple paint. And you've already got the tailoring and the patterns. It's so much easier to just go we can we're basically reissuing these with a badge on, and obviously they can prop their own bodies inside them and whatever, which you've already got en masse. And that makes sense. And it makes complete sense from a price point then at that point.
Yeah. Because I think there's a couple of differences with weapons and stuff. Like the Green Ranger comes with his tassels, which he doesn't have on the other ones, but. Yeah, the only thing I like looking at the I think the Yellow Ranger out of these ones gets the most flack for the Jeremy Beadle-esque hands. I think.
Oh yeah.
Like
and I noticed that. Yeah,
they are very very small. But yeah, I think.
I think it's something where if you're I mean I couldn't give a monkey's about. I don't understand Power Rangers.
You shut your whore mouth.
Yeah, I'm too old.
I'm with him. I was waiting for Power Rangers to go off so X-Men would come on. That was my Saturday morning.
Mate.
But I guess that it's one of those ones where you're going to buy the set. You're unlikely to want to buy one or two. So it's good. It's a great price point for that because for the price of probably not even 2 Hot Toys, you can get 6 figures. And you've got a nice display there if you're a fan of. What were the price on? I know you didn't buy yours, Ian, but what was the retail price on the Star Race ones?
I've no idea what they were retail. No. I know I got mine for about $4.50ish, something like that.
Yeah,
but that was for 7 Rangers.
Yeah, because you get the white one as well. So.
Well, you don't. You'd have to get that one separate, but I just got it with.
Oh, okay, with
mine.
But either way, I think if you're a Power Rangers fan, it's a good time to pick some figures up.
This was my jam when I was a kid. Like this was, I had the Megazord, the lot. So I'd gone a while, and it was like I really do need a set of 6-scale Rangers because anyone who comes into my house doesn't think I'm that much of a fucking dork anyway that I might as well have a complete set of Power Rangers there for them to roundly mock as they walk through my dolly room.
So you just need an Angel Grove Park diorama to that's the only place they'd ever fight anybody. I never understood why they're like, we're going to attack Earth. I know, the park with the swings. That's what we're going for. Brilliant. Forget the White House. Forget any.
Yeah,
park,
come
Angel
to
Grove
us.
Park, we're in.
Bring it.
What I always thought was weird as well was it was clearly a quite residential place that suddenly had a steel mill.
Yeah.
Or like some sort of smelting facility, and it was like, what? Because they would be fighting in the park, and then suddenly it's like, an industrial unit, and you're like, who the fuck designed this place? Like children's park?
You know the backstory of how they filmed it all, don't you? With the Super Sentai stuff, where they just chopped and changed footage, and then they ran out of that show, and they're like, "Oh, it's Power Rangers Turbo now because we found this show about cars, and we're just going to steal footage from that."
So I went back and I watched a couple of episodes the other day, and it's really fucking obvious because there's one episode where I think like Trini's niece or something is one of Trini's friends who is inexplicably like 6 has come to stay with them, and every time you see her when she's been kidnapped by one of the monsters, she turns Japanese, and every time she's talking to the Power Rangers, she isn't. And it's like, it's so fucking jarring to see, and you're like, why didn't I ever pick that up when I was a kid?
If you ever want to laugh, watch, I think it's the Jontron review of VR Troopers. That's something special. It's
nice.
VR Troopers is not a thing you can look back on as nostalgically as Power Rangers.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to watch VR as well, yeah. I'll have to do that. I'll have to watch it.
I'll send you the link later.
Perfect. Cool. And then we had the Hot Toys Gwen Stacy for 217. No complaints from me. I think it's probably been a while since I've seen the film, but if you're into it, happy days.
That's one of mine coming.
Spider Pig, you know.
Yep.
I like the I like the head sculpts.
Yeah.
I think the head sculpts that come across really well, better than some of the other ones we've had. And then we've got Miles as well, but the video game Miles for 207 quid. There's something about this I just don't like.
No,
but I don't. But I don't know why.
The cat?
It has a. I mean, the cat with the Spider-Man pants on its head, possibly.
Yeah,
the thing is, I haven't played the add-on, so I don't know what
we've
the
got
fuck
it,
that's
but
about.
I haven't played
It's
it.
really good. Prioritise it. It's really good.
Yeah,
it's really
Well, we got my boy a PS5
Yeah.
in September for his birthday, and we've got this, so I do need to play it.
Yeah, it's really good, and you probably want the figure after playing it. But there's another costume that they've showcased that's like one of the hidden costumes that if they announce it, I'll buy it in a heartbeat.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't want to mention it because you both haven't played it. It'll kind of spoil it. So
Because I'm going back through playing the Game Plus of the first one, so I'm playing back through that, and I'm loving that at the moment. Things I went off my PlayStation for ages just because the fucker's too loud. Like I play it in the evening when everyone's in bed, and the thing just sounds like it's going to take off.
Well,
and
they didn't improve that with the PS5 either. That's bloody noisy.
I I've got the PS5 and the Series X as well, and it's so amazing how quiet the Series X is compared to the PS5.
Yeah.
It's like night and day. You turn one on, you can hear it. You turn the other on, you can't.
Yeah. I mean, out of the two, I'm probably going to get a Series X just because I've got, I play my Xbox all the time, and I've got Games Pass and stuff like that on it, so it just makes more sense to do that. I always get a PlayStation, I always get an Xbox, but this time I'm kind of thinking I'm going to have to get one over the other.
The PlayStation's a great exclusives box when when games come out that are only on the PS5, then it'll be worth the upgrade. I've got one, and I've played Spider-Man, I've played Deathloop on it, and that's about it. It's there. Astrobot's amazing. That's the best thing about it.
Yeah,
the Astrobot is banging.
Yeah.
Really good game.
Yeah, everyone says that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Cool. And then, while we're on Hot Toys, we have the Hot Toys Rex, finally. Now, this is readily available on Sideshow. Obviously not out yet, but for £192 or £350 if you want to go to Toys Wonderland.
Yes, please.
Fuck, that's for a laugh. No, it's... Don't get me wrong, I've watched some reviews. I've got this on pre-order myself. I plan to get it. It's Rex. Why wouldn't I? But it's not worth 350 quid. No chance. I mean, I've got it pre-ordered.
No.
I think I paid. All in all, it's going to come in at like 260, something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wouldn't pay an extra £100 to have it straight away. But having said that, it looks fantastic. I'm liking it.
Yeah, I love the tally marks. Until I put these photos together, I didn't know he had that on there. It looks really cool on his gauntlet.
Does that include Post-it? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, when I saw it on there, I thought the actor had died. That's how much I
Yeah. Yes.
So I was like, nope.
The CGI actor had died.
Yeah.
But
they deleted him off the hard drive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. They're damn suppliers again. So yeah, I really like this. I cannot wait to get this because I'm a big fan of Rex. I've got an animated sculpt painted up, ready to go to plonk on it.
Which it should have come with, in my opinion. That's I've got no skin in the game for Clone Wars at all. I haven't watched it yet. I haven't got round to watching it. So I know Rex is important to people, and that's totally cool. But the first thing that I saw when looking at it was, why are the heads realistic for this line? And it's obvious for me now, knowing that Sideshow clearly got the animated line. That's what's going on.
Well, when you think about the reuse they can get out of that likeness, and only tweaking it slightly with different hairstyles, because as soon as Cody came out as an episode 3 Cody, and they started to announce that they were going into Clone Wars and stuff like that. As soon as that Cody sculpt was shown, I was like, right, we're not getting anything animated, because the reuse potential out of that sculpt is just too good for them to pass up. And then they don't have to redesign bodies or anything like that. They can just pump it, because this is a 501st all day long. It's a pauldron, a different helmet, and they put a frilly skirt on it. Bam, done. But it's, to me, it's Rex. I'm always gonna get it. This is one that isn't going to get knocked off my pre-order list. But I shall pay a far more reasonable price for it.
I haven't watched the Clone Wars, despite Ian constantly telling me to watch it.
Mate,
but that picture in the middle looks brilliant. The weathering on it and the details and stuff. It's like a great figure.
Yeah.
I think they've really stepped up with the weathering from Cody to the 501st. So I'm really keen to see what this is like in hand. Because what I found with Cody was all the weathering was almost like it was printed on, and it was quite pixelated particularly on the legs, which I'd noticed wasn't the case with the 501st. So I'm fucking loving this. But watch the Clone Wars and Rebels and Bad Batch, because he pops up all the way through and fantastic. Really worth it.
I will at some point. I watched a bit of Rebels and quite enjoyed what I saw of Rebels. But Clone Wars, I think I struggled with the first season and whatever, and it was one of those where I know if I can get past it, it'll be fine. I'll be fine.
Yeah, it's your Tom Bombadil, Andy.
Yeah, exactly that.
Have a look online, because because they're all out of order. There's playlists you can download that give you a concise story all the way through and skips out.
I won't be able to do it. The OCD nature of me, I'll have to watch it all. And even though I hate it, I'll have to hate watch it. Me and Joe are watching the entirety of South Park as I'm working in the background at the moment, and some of the early stuff's really hard to sit, but because it's on in the background and I'm not really paying full attention, it's fine. But that I know I'll need to pay full attention to.
Yeah, I did that fairly recently. Went back through South Park, and I agree that some of the early stuff is very, very. You sit there and you pay you pay your dues and you slog your way through it till you get to some of the later series. But I'm with you on that one. And then we had the Hot Toys Death Watch for £255. Again, I really like this.
It looks really good. Yeah.
I think because it's basic, simple, I think that's why it looks really good. It looks like a guy in a suit.
That's what I was thinking. It's got a real guy in a suit vibe. Yeah.
So, I mean, 255 is still, it's getting there. It's, all this. If we went back a couple of years ago, this would be sitting at 180 all day long.
Yeah.
It's 255.
Inflation, though, man. Inflation.
Yeah.
We're in a £2.50 for a tube of Pringles world at the moment.
Oh, £3, I think. They're out down in the southeast here, mate.
Well, there we go. See, you're being ripped off just because of your geographical Pringle location.
I won't buy them unless they're on offer.
But then,
that's it.
Then we
gone in.
Yeah.
But then we look at this, and then we look at stuff like the Stormtrooper Sergeant that's coming out in the next couple of months. It's like that sits about 180.
Yeah,
they're not that dissimilar, really. They're both armoured figures. There's probably more armour on the Stormtrooper. But again, you're probably paying different amounts for the different, series that they go with, so I get that. But
Yeah.
things are creeping up in a direction that, look, I don't mind paying. I do not mind paying for figures, but I just want to, for a basic figure, and I'm hitting that kind of price bracket. That's when I'm a little bit. But then this is, I think others have said this is, a low production run, and they can see this turning into another Shore Trooper.
I think that's right, but I can also, just looking at it, and I'm not an expert, I'm looking at this from the outside here. I can see a fair few parts of that are mould reusers.
100%. Most of this armor
From
is all
Mando
straight
bits
off of
and Bobber.
All the armor pieces are all from the OG Mando. The backpack is from the 501st, and the helmet's a Boba Fett helmet. So all of it is. I think the shoulder bits are different. And maybe the
and
belt.
are they using those in the future?
Mm-hmm.
They'll be the new Bobber's shoulder pads for the things coming out of Christmas.
Yeah. But looking
that'll be
at
the
all
title of the episode: Bobber's new shoulders.
But looking at all of this, if you couldn't get hold of one, and it did become stupidly expensive, all of that is printable. Currently, at the moment, printable. I've seen people do it, and I've got files for most of that armor set. So there are ways to get hold of one, and actually, because of the majority of this is cloth, you wouldn't really have to worry about it being too brittle. You'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I found one, I wouldn't turn it down.
No.
And then we have, this is a mouthful. Joe, the Last Survivor Part 2. This time it's personal.
Jackson version.
The Jackson version.
Yeah.
So this is 124 quid. Yeah.
Sorry, South Park again. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just ignorant. So yeah, this is 124 quid. Comes with a shit ton of stuff.
Yeah.
But again, I just haven't played the games, so I don't have a horse in this race.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan of the games. Had the original one of these, and so the Molotovs from the first release, the machetes from the first release, the watches from the first release, the shankies, the sort of tape, the brick, the gun, possibly the shotgun. I'm not sure. It's missing the sniper rifle from the original release. So obviously it's got a new head, but I'm assuming the shoes are the same. The backpack and the tailoring's probably new. So there is a lot of reusers from the original that are in this, but I really like the first game and I dislike the second game, and a lot of people will go, oh, it's because you're this particular way inclined or whatever. No, I just have a problem from a writing standpoint and I could talk about it for hours, but if you're a big fan of this and there's an opportunity to get it, then great, it fills that void, I guess.
I loved the first game.
The original wasn't a bad release. The first game's a masterpiece.
And the DLC one was pretty good as well. But I've got the second one, and I don't know. Maybe it's because I've heard so much negative compared to the first one. I've just never got around to playing it, and I keep thinking I will. And I just
without
the first one was so
anything,
good.
Without spoiling anything for you or anybody else that's watching that might want to play a game that's been out a couple of years. There's a scene in the first one where a guy walks up to them and he looks like he's ill or having a heart attack or something. And Joel looks at him and Ellie's like, should we go and help him? And Joel goes, no, this is a trap. And then immediately it's a trap. And it's because Joel's switched on enough and he's been in all these settings that he knows what's going on. And that moment's really powerful. It's very much like Logan and stuff like that, where he's smart enough to know what's going on and you get an insight into his world. And in the second one, Joel's an idiot. Completely I don't know you, you're fine, come along with me, I'll go back to your base and get into bother. And it's just it's like they took all the cool common sense stuff from the first one that made you go, oh yeah, this is really well thought out, and threw it in the bin. And it was like a showrunner changed in a TV show, like early Walking Dead versus later Walking Dead and stuff like that. And it was really jarring, and I just couldn't couldn't go with the
it's a
second
shame.
game, and the gameplay loop was fine, but there wasn't enough narrative investment for me to want to continue to play because I hated everybody in it and how they were written.
Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah.
So I played Ghost of Tsushima instead, which was fantastic.
So I haven't played that yet.
On your list, it's great. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we have a clicker to go with it. So this, what I like about this is you can do this for the first or second. It's
Yes,
which is quite good, and 103 quid as well. Not bad, not bad.
No.
I think
it's
needs
a
a bit of a
reuse of
repaint.
the shirt as well from the Ellie. So I think
looks
it's
like
actually
it, yes.
the Ellie's clothes. So I think that's why it's got
Yeah.
that low price point. Is because basically any factory seconds that were from Ellie, they could daub blood on,
yeah.
and it wasn't a problem.
I think the arms look weird on this. I think it's one of those. I think it's those pegs, those tiny little pegs, and those giant hands just look fucking bizarre. But on the whole, 103 quid if you got to swap the body out. No one's complaining of that, are they?
No.
To be fair, so that was pretty much everything.
Yep.
That had come out, which was good. So let's see what's going to cane us for pre-orders.
Coming soon.
This
Not this one.
monstrosity. Talking of South Park, do you know the episode where he goes, "He's just a baby, you shouldn't have done it." This is what this reminds me of. He's just a boy. This Venom thing, red Venom version piece of shit has been shown.
See, I'm not going to give it any sort of positives, but I get it, right? They're reusing that mold, so it's not costing them any other tooling because they've already done a white version and they've already done, the black classic version. But the other thing that stands out to me with this is when I went to Hong Kong, I remember. Have you seen those weird little like bear things? They look like the Mickey Mouse sort of ears, and then they've got different styles. I think Medicom do them. And having walked into several shops and seen displays of hundreds of them in the same mold in different colours, and seeing people physically buy 2s and 3s and 4s of them, I totally get why if you've got the first 2 and you want the third one because you want this different colour thing and that's your bag, I get why it's made. I don't think it's a Western thing. I think it's I think it's it's a very cultural thing for over there, which is why it's in the artist series. But I also think I think this multicolored, like every different variant thing. I think it's for that collector.
Yeah,
so it's a very niche but cheap production.
Yeah. I mean, for
but
us,
I was nothing I'd ever buy.
But it's not.
No.
It's a no for me. And then we got the Hot Toys Carnage for £385 for the deluxe, out January to March 2023. 385 quid. I know he's a big fucker.
Have you seen the UK prices on it?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
It's £500.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Yeah, I suppose, because the thing is, by the time... So that was the sideshow price. So by the time you've had your import and your postage on there, you're going to be punching about £5 anyway.
So that's the deluxe version, is it? With the
bust.
Venom, the sculpt, the bust with the
It's this is
Eddie
the thing.
Brock's bust. Yeah.
We're getting to that point now where you look at stuff and you go, I'm punching statue territory here. I'm starting to get where if I chuck another couple of £100 at it, I can get a statue.
It's not even that for me. It's punching with I can't afford this shit. I have a reasonably be paid but fairly normal wage. I've got a house to run, bits and pieces like that. Kid, and everything. And you just think actually, I can't afford this stuff. I can't put enough stuff to the side to pay £500 for a figure. And it's a bit it's quite sad really. But
and everything's shooting up.
Get it.
Everything's going up.
Yeah.
So it's getting to the point now where actually £500, that's what I paid for my first car.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's
Right.
inflation, though, isn't it? You know, because the problem is money doesn't stay at the same monetary value.
No.
Not that I'm defending it, but
No.
it's, you know, I used to go on the bus for 33 pence as a kid, but some people,
Yeah.
you know, X amount of years ago got on for a penny or half a penny or whatever.
Yeah.
It's I think the positives that I'll say here is I really like that they included the Venom sculpt with this, so people like me who've just got a Venom
Yeah.
aren't having to buy a second Venom for a new head. I
Yeah.
really like that. That is I'm not into the idea of build a figure thing. Maybe they should have even offered selling that Venom bus separately for people who don't want a Carnage. I've definitely outright bought this. I've bought this from my supplier over in Hong Kong. I bought it from day one, I think it was this one.
Yeah.
And it's great. I don't want to spoil anything I know about the movie that hasn't been released in the UK, but I think the opportunity to secure this figure will become difficult in the future. So I think it's one of those that if you're going to get on the bandwagon, get on it. Now, personally, from a creative comic book fan basis, I don't like the fact that Venom's taller than Carnage. I think it's absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
But if it's the only opportunity to have that Carnage figure, then I'm going to have to take that plunge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as a figure, it looks great. It looks good. I just, for me, I've kind of said goodbye to Marvel in a way and kind of said no
me
more.
too. Yeah.
If this was cheaper, I'd be tempted to kind of delve into that line. But for the,
I think without getting too political with that, I mean, obviously, you know, Mark, well, probably my salary moves a lot slower than prices, and that's what everybody's finding is that obviously, you know, you're either not getting, you're getting a pay cut or you're getting a pay freeze if you're lucky, or you know, you might get 1%, and obviously these are probably going up, you know, 10-15% a year probably for the last few years, and it becomes, you know, something which you could. It's always been a luxury product. Don't get me wrong, and we're privileged enough to, you know, have some, you know, spare income to spend on it. But when that goes from being, you know, 150, 200 for a figure to £400-500, let alone, you know, trying to get this stuff past the other halves in our lives, it gets to a point where I just think, actually, I can't afford to buy this. Or, you know, I could buy it, but I'd have to not buy any other figures for 3-4 months or something like that. And
and I'm with you. I was priced out on the Hydra Buster. Because which I own all the Captain Americas, and that was my limit. I'm not dropping 600 quid on the Hydra Buster. It's not happening, and that was a, you know, like a definitive line in the sand for me. And at that point, you then start to go, well, hang on a second. Is there much point in me keeping this figure and this figure and this figure on pre-order if I'm not completing those lines? And for me, Carnage fills a void that I couldn't avoid by missing it. So, for example, really love the Maximum Carnage run. Love the Maximum Carnage and Separation Anxiety on the Mega Drive. And so to have Venom, Carnage, and Spider-Man next to each other in the cabinet was like, I have to. This is the very limit, but I have to consider that one.
I think we have to remember as well that part of this is our own making. You know, when we were all happy a year, 2 years ago to be paying £150 on top of what a figure was released for to get it day one, did anyone ever, you know, we all knew that the figure companies themselves would be sitting there going, people are willing to pay 150 quid more to get it earlier, they will pay £150 more for our product. So the price, of course, they are going to put their prices up, as well as having to put their prices up because of the, you know, because of inflation and because of the, you know, the cost to actually make it.
I mean, like, I agree with you, but at the same time, you know, when we talk about salaries not increasing, or salaries increasing 1%, if you incrementally look at that over every person involved in production, over how much materials cost and this, that, and the other. I'm not trying to defend them on a £500 figure, but at the same time, you sort of look on it, and also with it being Marvel and Sony, I have various questions over how much they had to pay for the license fee, because the question you've got then is, I know Marvel own the merchandising rights to Spider-Man because Marvel got that back when Sony were trying to fund the PS4, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
But they obviously don't own the movie rights to the likeness. Some of the stuff would have come from the movie rights. So is there 2 licenses in play and loads of other stuff? There's a lot of questions around it. And now the thing, my pro tip of the day would be, if you are paying out the backside for Venom, stop, because that picture in the top corner has a different base, which suggests to me that there is another Venom coming.
Yeah.
And it might come with this head from the deluxe or whatever, you know what I mean? But it suggests to me there's another Venom coming. So if you're paying ridiculous amounts of money for Venom at the moment, I'd just be holding fire. Especially since considering the film's done really well financially, I don't see it being the last that we're going to see of that character. And I wouldn't be even surprised if we see one with a spider on its chest in the future. So and then everybody would trying to move their one with veins that they've spent £600 on for a lot cheaper.
Yeah, so. Very true. Very, very true. Right, and next up we have the Suit Up Silver Centurion for £366 out January to March 2023. I've no strong thoughts on this either way. I think it looks quite cool, but for me, I understand now. I was not big into Iron Man comics, so I understand the Silver Centurion suit is quite iconic in the comics. In the films, not so much. He cuts some dude's arm off, it then falls to bits, and he jumps into another.
That original figure was going for dirt cheap money.
You could pick it up. Yeah. You could pick it up for like £130 all day long. Yeah. All day long. Yeah. It got quite insulting when you'd have something up for sale and someone would go, "Do you want to trade?" You go, "Yeah, right then. What you got?" And they go, "I've got a Silver Centurion." You go, "Fuck off. Get out."
Yeah.
Fuck off. Well, yeah. That and a Tonto, like, fuck off, go away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no real strong feelings.
Take it away, Andy, because you're the only one who's got a Marvel.
I like I mean, like, if you were big into like 90s Iron Man, or late 80s Iron Man, it filled a void in the comics, But even for that, I'd want to be buying either the one where it's fully together, the plastic one, or I'd want to buy the the suitcase armor is also a reference to the Silver Centurion with the silver and red. So I mean, obviously this one's a lot closer, and that is physically called Centurion, the Iron Man 3 version. But I'd either want to buy the suitcase armor or the plastic version of this. If it transformed between the two, if you could swap out the panel and have it all as Silver Centurion or this folding together version, I think it'd be a more decent prospect. But even as a fan of the comics that likes the armor, understands where the reference is, it's still not a buy for me.
No. I mean, it's great that they've got USB charging and stuff like that in it now, but it's still, if it's a different mark suit, then potentially it could potentially drag me back into Iron Man stuff. But oddly enough, at 42, I for some reason I really like the Mark 42, and if it was a 42 doing that kind of stuff, I'd potentially be up for it. But yeah,
so that was it.
Not so much. That was it. Yeah, 2
very light.
2 pre-orders for the last 2 weeks. That was pretty much it. And of course, well, not just 2 pre-orders. Of course,
there's a really nice Street Fighter figure.
There is a really nice Street Fighter figure. So let's take this moment to say thank you to our sponsors by playing their adverts.
Only Fools and Collecting is brought to you by Watto's Scrapyard. They 3D print parts for your hard-to-come-by Kenner vehicles. They 3D print 1/12 and 1/6 scale head sculpts from a massive back catalogue. If there is a particular character you want, he can design and 3D print it for you for a reasonable price. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Backdrops and bases displays are printed directly to substrate on foam display board using UV matte inks, so there is no fade or glare. The nameplates are precision etched using their in-house laser machine. They offer a very bespoke service designing displays and nameplates to your requirements. You can contact Backdrops and Bases via their Facebook page, Backdrops and Bases.
There you go. Hit them up. They're both terrific people to deal with.
Yeah, I dropped the links in the chat there. So
yeah, can't say enough good things about them. Backdrops and Bases, fantastic. Like I say, I've got my DeLorean bits and pieces and Back to the Future stuff off them, top notch. And Watto, anything you want design, they can do it. Particularly really good at the animated stuff. Yeah. So they've dropped some really good stuff from Visions. So well worth checking them out.
Okay, cool.
So let's move into my favourite part of the show.
Shenanigans! 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 What?
Take it away, Mr. Peter.
Yeah, I think the shenanigans are very much me, really. I'm not.
Yeah, I've not hated anyone for 2 weeks. It's been quite nice.
Yeah. This isn't a bash at anybody, Jazz Inc. or anything. It's just I suppose a reality check to myself and to the rest of you there, that, as Andy said earlier on, don't be in this game for to try and make money. It's not an investment. So the example here is a brand new, and obviously you could argue it's not brand new because someone's actually had it delivered to themselves, but clearly he's only had it a matter of days, because that's the newer version with the lighter paint job. And this is the Jazz Inc. Dioramas Millennium Falcon cockpit, for those who listen on the podcast. That's the new paint job, and on the other pictures on the eBay, it hasn't got the 2 screws on the front, which were removed from the later versions. So if you like, this is a more desirable version than the one I got, which has got a darker paint job and has got the screws. And this was on bids on eBay. It went for £670. And that was for a collection, which obviously,
Wow.
is dependent on where you are in the country. But for me, it was Twickenham, so it's really not that far. And if you have a look there, that those payment schedules are what I paid for mine. So I paid £1,245. This went for £670. So the lucky bugger that got this got it for £575 less than me. So it's funny because you assume that something like this, it's a bespoke piece. It's a limited number, although it's not limited in terms of the number. But Yost has said that at some point he will stop production on this, and you just assume that it would be this thing that would, in years to come. And it may still happen. It may still happen that in 5-10 years' time, it's worth twice what I paid for it. But this was a bit of a, fuck, man. I mean, I'd have been all over this if I hadn't got it already. And it was just a bit of an eye-opener that, you can make money on stuff in this game. You can also lose a lot of money. And you could argue that £1,245 is a ridiculous price to pay for it. That's the price it was. I wanted it. It's a brilliant piece. And I'm not, I don't love it any less. But I just saw this and thought, damn. Someone's got an absolute bargain there.
My question is, how much did the buyer actually get after all the eBay fees?
Yeah. If they got it on a £3 job or whatever, then they're okay.
Well, normally it's 12%, isn't it? So knock 12% straight off of that.
Yeah, but they probably would have listed it up when there was an offer on either a £3 selling or
that's the listing, but that's your listing fees, not your selling fees.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So you could have listed it
you
on
actually
a day
look at $589.60.
Okay. Yeah. But either way, it just goes to show that you can speculate on things that will go up or down. And again, it may well be that once these are stopped production in 10 years' time, they are going for thousands. But yeah, it was just kind of like, oh man, wish I bought
I think
this.
we've all had that.
Yeah,
I think we've all had stuff that we've bought that you spend a fortune on, and you kind of go, oh, this is fucking fantastic. It's
if I don't pre-order it, I'm never going to get it. No one's ever going to sell one.
It's not even that. Like when you look at some custom pieces and some customs you get, you kind of go, it's amazing and it's worth that to you because you want it and you love it.
Yeah. And
then when you end up having to move it on, the reality kind of bites in that actually you've got to find you have to find another version of you.
Yep.
That wants to buy that.
Yep.
Because I'm already thinking actually when I do come, if I ever want to move those Power Rangers on, I know that isn't going to be an easy sell. That's not going to be something I list on and then 2 hours later some fucker's bought it.
No.
It's going to sit there for quite some time before another 35-year-old fat man who likes Power Rangers wants to buy it.
Wants to buy the whole set, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's easy to get caught out, particularly with some of the custom niche stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've had it with like some of the backdrops I've got. So I went back from when I had Detolf. So I thought, well, these are really cool. Someone will want these. No, because they're very niche to me, and you know.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
There's a weird metric that I remember reading about, and I think they talk about it on Toys That Made Us as well, which is there's like a bargain bin ratio. So if prices stay at a thing and then they become more readily available and then it starts to decline. And if it's something that's never had an interest, it drops off. If something drops off immediately and hits that bargain bin, throw it out, gets parted, kind of thing, then it becomes harder to source, and then spikes again.
Right.
Example I can give you is original Avengers Hawkeye. Now it's not desirable now because there's a million other versions of Hawkeye. But the amount of people that parted Avengers 1 Hawkeye for Jeremy Renner Hurt Locker or Jeremy Renner Bourne, the amount of those figures that were parted and ceased to exist.
It was that body with the single arm with the butterfly joint that people were mad for.
Yeah. So
I like to think that I single-handedly drove up the price of the DX05 by parting out so many of those.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the point. It's that drop off. It's that drop off period. The problem with very large pieces like this, right? It's about timing, and also this fella's probably. I'm just spitballing here, but there's a damn good chance that it's arrived and he's gone, this is really big.
Yeah, that's basically what he said was the reason why he sold it, yeah.
Yeah. I still own a 89 Batmobile that's in its box upstairs.
Yeah.
Plastic wrapped underneath the shield to make... It's huge. It's absolutely huge. And it lives in the spare bedroom. I should be charging it rent. And it's such a big piece, and I would never part with it, mainly because I scored it for like about 250 quid. Wow. But the point is, I'd never part with it because it means something to me. But I've got nowhere
just can't display
to put it.
No.
I've got nowhere to put it, and all logic should be let it go now, else it can get $1,000 before they re-release it for the Flash movie.
I cannot tell you how much aggro my DeLorean has caused me because of the fucking size of it and the big display case it sits in. That I'm like, actually, I could get another 3 display cases. I could get another 3 Bestas to sit underneath this window here and have a shit ton more figures in there.
Yep.
But I can't. I've got this. I can only have the room set up one way. I've now squeezed a desk in here as well. Like the DeLorean, I love it to bits, but it's just a fucking space sapper.
You'll never get rid of it. You can't get rid of it.
No, I would never. I would never get rid of it.
Me and Batman 89. I'm exactly the same position with you, and but it's I get it, and from a logic standpoint, it should be let it go, make 3-4 times what you had it for, and have the space to be able to live in a spare bedroom. On the plus side, if I get have any more kids, I can just put like a frame round it, and it can be the new cot. So it should save me a few quid. But it's just, I get why this guy parted with it, but it's just such a hard thing to take that loss.
It's taking a big loss, yeah, exactly.
And it's also the timing as well. I mean, we're coming up to Christmas. We're on that up, and you've got to find that specialist person who's got the space, got the money.
Yeah,
and it's near enough to go and to drive and collect it, because you do not want to post that fucker.
No, and as we've said as well, we're in quite a. I don't think we've ever been in a position where this much stuff has started to come out in such a short space of time, because everything's been delayed and now there's a rush to get it out before Christmas. Everyone's getting hammered for pre-orders.
Yeah.
And I think, whereas normally we would be looking at a couple of steady releases and people would have a bit of spare cash to actually, why the guy didn't put it on as a buy now,
yeah,
I'll never know.
It was a bit of a gamble, and it could.
We also don't know that that's really sold. He could have been bumping his own price, or whatever. There's a million reasons. There's a million things that could be. Or But
it was just interesting to get you guys' thoughts on it.
But no, I think the point's completely valid.
Yeah, it's just a warning. As I say, it's not. It's there's no guarantees, and I didn't buy it to make a profit, and I don't intend to sell it. But if someone did get it for that price, spot on. Good on you.
Yeah.
You bastard. Be getting it. Yeah, you bastard. People have been saying they're getting emails from Sideshow. Hello, your Orlando Calrissian item will be arriving into our warehouse in a few days. Your final payment is scheduled for 10th, 11th, which is 11th of October. So basically, they're saying that Sideshow are going to have the Bespin Lando Calrissian in the next few days. There's no sign of it in HK at the moment. And I thought, well, that can't be right. But then somebody says here, they spoke with SS, confirmed that that's Sideshow, not the, confirmed.
Adolf in the 1940s.
Just to clarify.
We have your Orlando Calrissian. He will be arriving shortly.
Pray he doesn't alter the deal further.
They basically said that they're doing simultaneous releases with Hot Toys on certain figures. So far, Lando, Miles Morales, and Deathwatch Mando. He didn't know if it's ongoing or something they're trying out. I suspect that the ones that got an arriving early email are the ones they are doing Shore Trooper Bobber 2-pack. So they've... you haven't done anything for your Bobber, have you? Which one have you got? Yours isn't the 2-pack, is it?
The 2-pack. No, what they have done is they've started sending out monthly updates,
right?
Like monthly pre-order statements. And I noticed on that actually my Bobber had been moved up to October. Hang on, I'll have a look now. It had been moved up. It was coming a lot sooner than I wanted it to.
Yeah.
Where is it?
I think I read some at January or something like that, somebody said.
Yeah, your monthly order statement from Sideshow. So when I go through it, and depresses me massively.
You're like, how many have I got?
I know, and literally I'm scrolling going, do I even want that? Right, here we go. Bobber 2-pack. January to February it's moved up. And that wasn't due to come out until like June time.
Yeah, so, they've got Guessing Rex and Ahsoka since their larger orders are through regular changes while the Rex email went out, even though. So Rex has been delayed at Sideshow. So it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, until we actually see this come to fruition, we're a bit in the dark. But I suppose it might make sense. I don't know about the Spider-Man, but obviously the Star Wars stuff doesn't sell anywhere near as well in Hong Kong and the Asian market, does it? Yeah. So
this is what I was going to say.
Yeah, the American market is probably the biggest market. So it would make sense. What do you think on it, Andy?
Matt, right, so think about what we were saying about filling a container unit.
Yeah.
Yeah? Let's think of figures that are possibly lower on the production run thing, with the exception of, obviously, the Bobber 2-pack, because perhaps they're wanting to push that so they can sell another release, when they released Thanos,
correct.
And then 2 days later a different Thanos came out. But if you're talking about filling a container, let's say, and I'm just pulling this out the air. Let's say there's only 5,000 of those Landos being ordered, and only 500 of them are in Hong Kong, or 1,000 of them are in Hong Kong, because they're not massively into original trilogy Lando.
One of them's mine.
Right? Right? Well, there you go. So we end off with a situation, and you've got to bear in mind that Sideshow stock all the other little retailers as well.
Yeah.
So all the other little retailers are going to get their stock out of that sort of mass. So it would make sense, so you've not got stuff sat away in a warehouse. If it's a small run, to get that in that Sideshow container as early as you can, and then do a simultaneous release, or release it one day early in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And then a day later ship out the Sideshow stuff, and it helps with your shipping, and everybody's happy. I think that would make it, far easier. It'd be the sensible thing from my perspective to fill up that container unit with, the smaller releases in a big bunch.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool because I've got Lando on order, so if I get him a bit early, I mean, obviously I bought him through an HK seller, and on second batch, but it'd be interesting to know if they all just come out in one batch, if it's a small number, and Sideshow get their bit.
If it's under 5k,
yeah, and that all just goes out at the same time. Which I suppose if you'd paid extra for first batch, you might be a bit annoyed at that.
Before,
but,
though, we've seen it before though, where they've just gone, all batches are out on the same day. Hellboy was one, if I remember rightly.
It's just tough shit, I suppose, isn't it?
Because next to none of those,
that's the game you play, isn't it? When you order from Hong Kong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's no guarantees with any of it. You bung your money down and
hope
for the best.
You've also got to bear in mind with those ones, certain figures are an absolute pain in the backside to source from Hong Kong, because if it's a show, if it's like Fat Thor and Hulk, and I think Venom was separate, but Fat Thor and Hulk, and there was a couple of other figures, were all show figures, and which meant somebody had to go to a show and queue up, and then the sellers were buying the tickets from the people who were queuing up. So those are obviously those from a ticket value perspective are going to be up, and harder to source over there. You then flip that with, are people still excited for the figure? And you get figures that the sellers possibly overpaid for and having to sell at a loss. Rocket, I know loads of Hong Kong sellers made a loss on Endgame Rocket. Loads of them made a absolute, and I mean, I don't know how many Iron Patriots there will be in the world, but my gut says there'll be a concept art black and silver version and a neon version, just so they can get the best out of that mold, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So hopefully it's good news and we get some figures a bit early. Be good.
News, because they pay for them.
Yeah, and then finally me again, moaning again. They talked about it on CW. I've wanted a Gamorrean Guard Sideshow 1/6 figure for years, and they never come on at a decent price. If they buy it now, people are asking 500. I've seen some go on the groups, I think 350, 400. It was just that. It's not. I mean, when it came out, it's probably 120 quid figure. It's just gone crazy, and these are my bids in here. I have bids in on these two. I do not expect to win with these by any stretch of the imagination. That's as much as I think they're worth that I'd pay, and that's still way over.
Do you not think these are coming though? Do you not think Hot Toys are going to just do these, and then the floor is going to fall out the bottom?
But when though? When are they going to? I mean,
but I can't see them not doing that figure.
No.
I can't, and that's the problem, is that then you buy this for £300, and then it's iconic enough that that I can see it.
Yeah, I get that, and I wouldn't be upset because, like we've said before, all right, I might say I won one of these for three.
Yeah.
I'll pay £3. I'd be happy with that, and if Hot Toys announce one, that it's not going to be out for 2 years anyway, so you've still got that figure on there, and that wouldn't bother me. But it's just the fact that even this, I know, is not going to win me either of these. I think they'll go for over 400 quid, and I just, again, that's gone beyond my limit there of what I pay for anything really.
My problem with paying 400 or quid for a Gamoran guard is that they're such old figures that it's like that Gandalf. What's the difference between that Gandalf that I bought and that?
Yeah, I know.
Nothing. The materials are all
No.
going to be the same. It's going to be the same type of paintwork.
Yeah.
Even the Strider, like, you know, if we go to take the worst example, the Strider, it's exactly the same.
I know, and they just reached this kind of like Grail status, these Gamorrean guards, and you just
Because even the Hasbro ones are stupidly expensive, where
Yeah.
people have tried to get a cheaper alternative and then do stuff to it. I think if you're looking at £400, you should really start to consider actually going down the custom route and getting someone to print you the head, the hands, the feet.
It's the body, I think, because although a lot of it's covered, you've still got to do something with the legs and the arms. And I've seen someone that's, you know, wrapped it with you know, and but yeah, I don't know. I just really want one.
I know, I know you want one, and I think it's, but I can just see it like a train down the track coming.
Yeah.
Especially since we've got a Bobber running a crime syndicate TV series coming out set on Tatooine.
But those new ones look awful, don't they?
Yeah, the new ones may look awful, but let's look at this from a manufacturing standpoint, right? I can make the new one, but then I can release the old one with the same body mold because you've just said the body's a problem. Where am I ever going to use that body again?
Yeah.
No, a good example point. Of that's the Return of the Jedi and Mando Scout Troopers.
Or how many other versions of Luke in a Jedi outfit we've got now.
Yeah.
I can see it. I see the flip point is that I was all set to order the Mandalorian Tusken Raider because I passed. Well, I had a sideshow one. I didn't like the weather and stuff. I sold it on.
Yeah.
But I think it looks awful, and it's too specific to Mando, and yet I'm not saying they won't, but they haven't as yet announced a New Hope version. So I've put together a custom one. So I think, you know, in some circumstances they might do that, but then they might just do a Mando, a Book of Bobble version of this and not do an original, or I don't know. They've got form either way, and it's a gamble.
One thing we know for a fact is it'll come with that sand base with the human footprint.
Oh yeah. Yes, I really hope so. It's got to. So yeah, that's just a rant on me. So I don't expect to be winning either of these, but I won't be up in.
Unless you win both of them, and that could be really bad.
I know. Well, I only put in the Gartog one because this one had shot up so much, and that's got less time on it. But obviously, that is limited to 750, so that'll probably go 500 quid. Which, I mean, they're not even worth 200 quid. But you get to a point where you just think, oh fuck it, I'm gonna put that in there, and then, you know, it's hard to give up on a figure. Full stop, isn't it? You've always got that nagging figure in the back of your head, thinking one day I might find one for a good price, but it doesn't seem possible.
I waited far too long on Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3 black costume.
Yeah.
And luckily a friend of mine parted with one, and I picked it up. You know, he literally went, "You can have this as a gift, mate. I'm shipping it. I just pay the shipping," and I was blown away by his generosity. But
I'm kind of hoping by putting this on here that some lovely person that's got one that's listening to this podcast might want to move it on.
Yeah.
Their message to Pete go, I'll tell you what, just because it's you, 290 quid. There you go. You can have it for that.
I'll take it. As long as that includes shipping.
Oh no, that's plus shipping.
I do want to flag that both of those figures are that Falcon cockpit.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
100%.
Yeah. Scary.
Yeah. Fuck our lives, eh? Fuck our lives.
Right.
So, let's have a wander off into...
Custom Corner.
Go on in, Pete.
So, interesting actually that it's coincided, because at this point I didn't know you'd bought the sideshow Aragorn, so it's kind of coincidence. But last show we had the Frodo and the Samwise. So these are sculpted by Dean Tolliver, or formerly known as Craig's Customs. And then these have been painted by Apartment 357 and haired by Shane Paul. So I guess what you're looking at here is probably a £500 to £600 custom head with all that work done by the various, which is a lot of money. And you know, to me, it has to be absolutely perfect. And I think the Frodo was. We were both a bit. We weren't convinced by the Sam. I think it was the eyes.
Yeah, it was just the eyes on Sam. I think that was just the colour than anything else. They looked, like I said, they looked kind of Sith-like.
Yeah,
which kind of threw it off a bit. But
so
the rest
I was
really
I was
good.
waiting for this one, hoping it was going to be an absolute home run. Not that I'd be paying £600 myself, but I'm not happy. I know you said the eyes again looked a little bit Sithy, but for me it's the mouth area. He's got a very pronounced sort of like he's got, like people said, like he's got a big wodge of chewing tobacco under his lower lip. So yeah, I think the search for the ultimate Aragorn sculpt goes on. There's another one by I forget the guy's name, but that's always been the one to go for. And again, it's just not quite right. And to be honest, I got the ACI Toys Aragorn, and to my eyes, none of these beat that. And that's far from perfect. I had it repainted by Mark Simpson, and I'm quite happy with it. And I suppose there's a part of me that looks at this and goes, oh, I'm glad it's not perfect, because I don't have to worry about trying to find £600 to get one myself. So there's like a yin and a yang of these things. So yeah, I think the search goes on for the ultimate Aragorn sculpt. And obviously, like Andy, you were saying about the Asmus one, the Helm's Deep one in hand is better than anybody seems to be able to photograph.
Yeah.
But again, it's probably not. It's probably only 80% there.
But that's what I was going to say about this one is what if it's absolutely amazing in hand, and for whatever reason that figure just doesn't photograph right.
Yeah, it could be.
And that's it's a real nightmare. And not only that, I don't know if a lot of you know about this, but depending on what you use your phone for these days, a lot of the AI starts to work out, how it should process the photos.
Right.
Photos aren't just point shoot and it's done now. So my phone that I use for work stuff has been shooting 1.6 and videos and whatever. So in general, it comes out looking like a 1.6 figure. It actually does for real.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'll shoot something or if Joe shoots something, or on her phone, and she does mainly like selfies at home and landscapes and when we're out. Mm-hmm. Although we've shot the same cameras very often, they don't come out the same, and it's scary. And it's the same with when we have a lot of photographs that are done in China. Quite often, we'll pay to ship the item over, because the colour balance on phones, because of they're used to taking under big, heavy lighting or whatever, means that the actual colour's lost in the thing until we see it in hand to check it. So it'd be interesting to see if what that would actually look like in hand, and it might hit that sweet spot and just not be photographable.
No, trouble is you've got to pay £600
like
to find out. Yeah,
£600 to find out is interesting.
See, I quite like this. I'm liking. I keep going on his site, and I think these are £80 each.
Yeah, about 80, 90 for the unhaired sculpt. Yeah,
and I keep hearing that he's going to do a sculpted haired versions.
Correct.
So
correct. Yeah.
I keep going on checking, because if they do a sculpted haired version, I'd get one.
Yeah, and that makes more sense, because obviously to you, then you can paint it yourself. You've got the skills, so then you've got a much different, much easier decision to make. You can say, I'll drop 80, 90 quid on that, and give it a go. And that's the thing. This is and the routing, the hairing is amazing. Absolute top notch job.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I know that
it's a really
Shane's
good job.
the best in the business, but it costs. I've looked into the cost of having like my original Legolas, and it was I think it was £300 or something, because that's got all the platting and stuff in it as well. And that's just out of my comfort zone. But I know that there's people that will, pay that. And I suppose if you've got a lot less figures and you're only having Lord of the Rings, then by all means, make them the best you possibly can. And I suppose I'm guilty of that with indie. I think it's still missing something, but as you say, it may well be that it just doesn't photograph well. So it'd be interesting to see if he puts some more pictures on the page, on the groups with actually on the figure, and whether it kind of be interesting to see what the haired one looks like.
Yeah, I'm patiently waiting, because if he puts the haired ones on his site, then I'd be tempted to get one of each.
I mean, the Frodo is the face sculpt on that is amazing, and I think depending on what the hair looks like on it, it might be worth a pick up as well. Even though you hate him,
the Hobbit Bilbo was a decent sculpt. I felt. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah,
the Asmus one. That was
got that.
Yeah, I want it. Bilbo, I really like. And I want an Asmus Bilbo, and I want someone to do me little hobbit hands of him just sticking his fingers up. And that's how I'd have it displayed on my shelf. Is the little is from
the problem with him? Yeah, sorry, it was a thing you sent. It was a video, wasn't it? Of you on set. It's off
It's off. I think it's off one of the DVDs. It's
Yeah, I think it's a behind the scenes extra.
Yeah, it's behind the scenes bit of him. Of the actor, I've forgotten his name now, Martin Freeman. And every time you see him, he's just going like that at the camera as a hobbit, and it's fucking fan. I could watch it every day till I die, and it always makes me laugh. So I'd like little hobbit hands sticking their fingers up and a Bilbo, and that would do me.
The sculpt on it is brilliant.
I think the Theoden had some really good presence as well. I think that had a very
that's one I haven't picked up, because I should have picked him up.
That was my picture of him.
Yeah, when he was about 150, but now he's quite expensive to get hold of. Bilbo's brilliant. The problem is the hair. The hair is too big, like far too bulbous. So, but you can take it off, and I've done a decent enough hairing job on mine to because it makes a difference, because the head's too big with the plastic hair, but the face sculpt's brilliant, really good. So if you do some work with it, and like the tailoring and everything is beautiful, the outfit and the sting and the backpack and everything, it's really, really good figure. So
Definitely. So from Middle Earth into space. So Jazz Inc. have announced a 1/6 scale Falcon Corridor. This looks fucking awesome. 255 quid.
Yeah.
And it's either standalone or Detolf size. I really like it. I've said for ages I would love the other side of the cockpit. So you're kind of like looking in. So you've got that rounded piece and all these bits all around the side. But this is fantastic. I would love one of these if I had room for it anymore. But apparently he was saying that because he does this kind of Detolf size, and then he does like a true scale, and he was saying actually the dimensions you couldn't do a true scale because it fits a Detolf perfectly as it is. With the proper, like, it has a proper scale 1/6 piece. So
so it'd just be
solid.
Yeah.
Somebody just asked in the comments, where can I find a list of retail partners for IconiQ? I just wanted to quickly say that it's on our IconiQ Facebook page, but if you're struggling to find it, just drop us a message in your area and I'll sort it out. Probably not at 11 o'clock at night, but I'll sort it out for you or something.
Cool.
Yeah, so if I had the room, I would get this. I think this is great. There's loads of options, and I like stuff like this because it's quite generalised. You can do quite a bit with it. You can be quite clever about it. So
that's just nice. I'm not a huge. I'd buy that over the Falcon any day.
Yes.
Really, over the cockpit. I think that's really, really nice, and yeah, that's up there with. I think I got the K. I don't. Did anybody see the K from IHNS Toys way back in the day when they were operating? There was this massive cave that filled a Dettol from Iron Man 1.
No.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Had the
I
chains
did a review on it
hanging down
ages
and-
ago.
Yeah.
And it really has presence in a Dettol, and I think that'd be the same. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah, anything like that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, the Falcon cockpit is brilliant, but the problem with it is obviously I've now got 5 really cool figures in there, and you can't really see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't afford to buy another Han and Chewie and Leia with the Yunsil dress to have some on the shelf and some in the cockpit. So again, it does come with its negative points as well as obviously with this you're seeing the full figures.
Yeah.
With a nice backdrop. So yeah.
Yeah. I really think that's really nice. I'm much impressed with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Right, Pete. The Thing.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Looks fantastic. I only put this little thing in because I'd never noticed he had a nose ring until I had it in 4K on a projector screen. I was like, oh no, he's got a funny little nose ring. But yeah, it looks fantastic. I mean, I assume this was. The special effects are amazing. Probably some of the best practical effects in any film. I imagine the budget wasn't massive because most of Carpenter's stuff was on a fairly small budget, but it looks great. The image clarity is really good. Seems like a really clean print without unnecessary DNR and stuff like that. Just a really enjoyable watch. It's I've said on previous programs, having the projector has kind of really brought my love of movies back. And yeah, I think anything you put on it just makes it more special. And then if you've got it in 4K, I mean, my projector isn't a true 4K, but it does a pretty good interpolation, so it's more or less close to 4K. And I watched it yesterday, or the day before. Yeah, just really enjoyed watching it again. It's a really fun movie. And you guys fans of this?
I love it.
Adore it.
I think
Yeah.
it's a really good film.
Yeah,
Really, really good film. Yeah, really.
and
good.
again, like we've never had a licensed McCready. NECA are bringing out a small one, aren't they? And there's lots of customs. A lot of people, and Chris Donaldson did a fantastic one.
Yes, yeah.
Andy, you want to get a license for the
I'm
thing?
saying nothing.
I just love the fact that if he says nothing, you're thinking, oh, there's a chance.
Yeah.
Yep. Good answer.
Yeah.
Like it. Yeah.
Is it universal?
Yes.
I've had conversations with you.
Fantastic.
That's
Fantastic. Brilliant.
that's all I'll say on that.
That's great. That's
doesn't
all we
mean
need to
yes,
know.
but
Yeah. No. That's excellent. So I don't buy as many discs now because obviously a lot of stuff's on demand and things like that. But every now and again, if a classic film, like I've said on here before, that I've got physical 4K discs of Indy and Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, the real things that I watch over and over again. You can't beat obviously the image quality on a physical disc. And so I don't buy that many now, but every now and again one comes along and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to treat myself to that, because you're looking at 30 odd quid for these if they're Steelbooks.
That's fine. No, and I get you with that. I follow 2 rules with buying physical discs. Either it's something I'm going to watch again and again, and I'm just not going to get the quality from the streaming.
Yep.
I've got a 4K curved TV, and that feels like I'm at the IMAX, but it's for me. The other thing is, I really like to buy discs of films that I think are going to disappear, and that people are going to go, oh, I've never seen that film, and you just put it on. And the disc, I can't find a 4K for it, but the disc that I recently grabbed was this film called Boss Level. It's currently on Amazon Prime. You can see it for like next to nothing. It's Groundhog Day, but with killing people, and Frank Grillo. And it's just a great little fun film, but it's one of those things that I know is going to fall into the ether of streaming, and nobody's going to be able to get it. And I found it on Amazon for like £6, and I'm like, I'm buying that because it's going to be one of those films like Upgrade or a few other films that I'm like, you're just never going to find outside of streaming. And I want a nice copy of that. So when, 10 years from now, when it's disappeared into the ether, I can pull it out of my physical disc collection like an old man and be like, I can watch this film that nobody can find.
I'm the same with kind of cult 80s stuff. Like I tracked down I don't know if it was a German version of Battle Beyond the Stars on Blu-ray and stuff like that. Just those cheesy kind of like Roger Corman 80s stuff, which I mean I don't even know if it's on a streaming platform. I don't know if the thing is
stuff like that you just can't find. And I mean I've chatted to so many, because obviously I dabble in the board game stuff. I've chatted to so many studios about their back catalogues, and it's amazing how many studios have no idea what they've got in their back catalogue, or if they think they've got it but they might not have the rights to it, or they can use this bit but they can only sell it in Bulgaria or something really weird, and or this person died and they have the rights to it and we have to get it from their estate but we don't know where their estate is. It's that sort of stuff. And so if there's ever like something you really love, secure it, because you never know, tomorrow, I mean, like, it's not going to happen with The Thing, but you never know that somebody can put something in the way, and all of a sudden it becomes you can't get hold of that movie imprint ever again because of some weird rule.
I agree. And I think
West Batman for years. For
and there were bootlegs and stuff, weren't there? And I think the thing is like back in the early days of CDs and DVDs, people would say, well, they're not worth buying because they won't last the distance. But I think now, I don't think you ever hear about disc rot and stuff like that anymore. So they should if they're kept in decent conditions, then they should be alright. I suppose the danger is running out of things to play them on, which and
lasers.
Exactly. Like now, if you wanted to go and get a VHS player, could you buy one new anywhere? I don't, and the same with like I used to have a lot of, when I first got into DVD, I had a lot of Region 1 discs because you just couldn't get stuff over here.
Weird.
And so for years and years, I kept this, as things moved on and I'm watching 4K through my Xbox and stuff. I kept carting around this giant Denon, I think it was like £1,000 at the time, multi-region DVD player. And I just got to the point where I was like, going through I just went through all the Region 1s and went, well, if I really care about it, I'll just rebuy it on Region 2, chuck them all out, chuck the player in the bin, and obviously then, so that's the danger there, that you kind of, that you might run out of the physical equipment to play these things in 20, 30 years' time.
I think at the same time, I think at the same time, it's about preserving the file.
Yeah.
And that's the reason, for exactly the opposite reason, I've stopped buying physical video games, because whereas film is always on that disc, video games now are all, you need online activation and this and that and the other to play it, or it won't work straight out off the disc. You've got to have this patch to play it.
Massive,
so there's no
great
point
patch,
in owning a physical. There's no point in owning a physical disc for those products, because you're not gonna be able to update them and play them in the future. Even if you find an old machine, you're not going to be able to do it. Whereas the flip side is everything's on that disc, which means you'll be able to find a computer drive to rip the file off it, or you'll find a games console that can run it, that you can, I remember like certain movie transfers and stuff like that being from VHS to DVD, where people had and stuff like that. So I think in 30, 40 years there will be the ability to get those files to preserve them, but it won't be a common thing. And I definitely buy them for that reason, for films that will get lost.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, cool. Right. So last show we had a competition. we were giving away one of these. We were giving away a Aquaman backdrop or a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle one with a nameplate. And the idea of the competition was to describe the plots to these films in a way that's going to make us laugh. And Zero Gravitas was our winner. I know he was floating around in the chat, so hopefully he's still watching. If he can drop us a message and we can sort out his prize. He came steaming in at the end and swooped it with his description of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as 4 teenagers in shell suits earn an ASBO. It tickled us. So you win. Congratulations, my man. Give us a shout. Drop us a message on Instagram or on Facebook, and we will get you sorted out with your wonderful prizes.
Congratulations.
So congratulations, my man. And that is our competition. Sorted. Simple. So take the Patreons away, Mr. Peter.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you to all our Patreonies. Thank you for your continued support. I'll give you all a shout out now. We've got Sean Fear, Ian CB, Rene Mendes, Eric Mariscal, Quinn Aguirre, Leo Hernandez, King Louis, Mark Pearson, Paul Schreiber, James Colley, Joao Brader, Equan, Chris Fallon Serena, Ben Thomas, Dan Lee, Dini Martin, Stephen Krepp, Big Fern, King Zach, Caesar Marroquin, Mike Cruz, Lisa Martin Bermondsky, Richard Gregorio, Alvin Jules, our good mate John the Everyday Collector, Andy's biggest fan, Ricardo Valdez, Jose CZ, Erwin Asusina, Bowler Boy, Jimmy James, Mary Cortez, Stephen Purchase, Sean Yahtzee, Scott Bradley, Stephen Maria Stanley, Jesse Contreras, Eddie Manzanares, Joe Corpus, Louis Bennett, Kevin Vagar, Chip Perrin, Jimmy Hernandez. Thank you all. Man, that's getting long, that list.
It is.
Woo!
It is. I'm amazed that Zach fits it all on one slide.
Yeah, he can fit another column in there, maybe. But yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good that it's still, growing after all these years. If you're not already a Patreon and you fancy getting involved, we've got 3 tiers. $5 per month is you get 5 stickers sent straight to your door, as well as access to Ox After Dark replay. Certified Crispy, $15 a month. Certified Crispy certificate on first pledge. Assistance with figure fixes by Zach, and all the benefits of the previous tier. International postage will be charged at cost for certificates, or you can have a file that you can print yourself. And the $25 per month What a Guy. Signed collecting weekly live 18x24 silhouette poster, doubles all the stickers. You can give it to your families and friends, and benefits of the previous tiers. Again, international postage will be charged at cost for the posters are free. A printable file can be sent, and we're still currently working on an additional benefit for that top tier, so watch this space. We're obviously into the spooky month, Halloween month, October. So we've got some new stickers. We've got the Collecting Weekly Horror Drip sticker and the Boogie Manny sticker. So they're the ones you'll get this month if you sign up. I think we're working on maybe getting another OFAC one out fairly soon with our cartoon alter egos. So hopefully maybe November for that one. Just a quick shout. We've got TeePublic. So we've got a number of T-shirts and other merchandise, mugs, mouse mats, whatever you want, face masks, with a lot of our logos, slogans, bits and pieces. So give them a look. I'll drop a link. I don't know, my comments aren't really working. I haven't seen any comments for like the last 40 minutes. Oh, there we go. They've all popped in now. Yeah, so there's a link there if you fancy a T-shirt. And then I'll leave it to Ian to bullshit his way through our
the other shows,
collection of shows on the network.
So very quickly, I think we've got a question here for you. Andy.
Yep.
Will you be available?
I'll answer that directly later. If you just message me through on the IconiQ page, I'll individual stores and stuff.
Oh yeah, sorry, you did say it's the same guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't notice that. Right, so this is our network. This is us. This is the plethora of shows we have to. Really just to show how cool we are. We have Small Talk, which is the smaller scale, the teeny tiny things, the 1/12 and Mezco, and I mean, I give them their props. I listened to their show the other day, and we thought we had a jam-packed show sheet. fuck me. Like, how they keep up with it all, I will never.
They work much
fucking
harder than we do. Hardest working show on their network.
To be fair, most people work harder than us. Like, we shouldn't be the level to judge how hard we work at getting a podcast over the line. We're kind of down here somewhere. So we've got Live and Let Dice, which is all about Dungeons and Dragons and elves and pixies and all that kind of really, really cool stuff. They play Dungeons and Dragons. I can't sexy that up any more than that, really. It's if
you've got 6 hours
good stuff.
free and nothing else to do, then tune in.
Yeah. If you want 6 hours of watching virgins play board games, that's for you. Well worth it. Well worth it. We've got Collecting Weekly Live Unboxing, where John chains himself into a basement somewhere, puts on his black gloves,
makes popcorn for everyone,
makes popcorn and unboxes the Ark of the Covenant that he must have been sitting on for fucking years before he gets it out. Yeah. That's that. Give him a watch. It's good. He unboxes anything, socks, old forks, anything like that. Well worth it. Collecting Weekly Live, which is the main mother show, or hell, they're there. Fantastic.
Yeah.
In and Outs of Collecting, which is statues and the stuff that we can't afford.
No,
not that we can even fucking afford Hot Toys at this point.
No,
but
no chance.
The bigger,
In and Outs, but yeah,
the bigger statues. So well worth watching them.
You seen that half scale Captain America, Andy? That I don't know.
I can't look at that sort of stuff because I
half scale, unbelievable.
Fuck that.
I'll end up down the docks trying to earn extra money if that happens. So
yeah.
The Prime 1, Evil Dead 2, Ash Williams, literally, that almost had me spreading cheeks for. I was that thing. I saw it and was like, what can I sell? What can I let people do to me so I can have that in my collection?
Yeah.
And
defile me.
I'll tell you now. I'm a friend of mine nearly came back with the Prime 1 Dark Knight Returns Batman in his bag when we were coming back from Hong Kong. It was insanely cheap over there, but it was how we get it back was the problem.
Yeah. Well, it's the same when people say, but again about the '89 Batmobile, about how cheap it is over there. But it's how the fuck do they get it back?
I barely got that thing in my car. It's unbelievable the size of that box.
Yeah, absolutely massive. Yeah, so we've got After Dark, which is the seedier side of the network. They're on practically every night. It's hard to keep up with them.
Yeah.
OFAC, The Jewel in the Crown, Us, the height of quality. If you want to watch a couple of fat guys bumble their way through a podcast, then that's us.
We're not talking about you, Andy, obviously.
No.
No. You were just talking about me. I was both of them.
And then
there was you two, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got the Ringcast, which up until recently I ripped the shit out of, and I can only admit when
now
I was
you
wrong.
love it. Yeah.
Now I love it. I'm wandering off every day just saying I'm going on an adventure and shouting Lord of the Rings references at people, and they just don't understand.
No one can resist the ring.
I'm sure that's not the first time you've ever said that. Yeah. So we've got Lord of the Rings and Pete's hairy arsehole, and Ox plays anything. It literally anything, Andy. It is anything. Flight simulator, fucking lawnmower games.
Yeah.
It sounds like it would be quite a good channel. We could play proper video games, but no, we play flight simulator. No. Yeah. So if that hasn't enticed anyone to watch the rest of the network, I don't know what will. Oh yes, and Collecting Weekly Clips, which is the best bits of all the shows whacked on there. Oddly enough, we don't get on there that much because, if I'm honest, we're just too lazy to send any clips in. So yeah, give them a watch. They're also very, very, very good.
Yeah.
So I think I've butchered that enough. And that is pretty much it. That's the 3 hours and 15 minutes we've managed to hold Andy hostage for.
Yeah,
so thank you
well.
very, very much
yeah.
for coming on and putting up with us.
Unleash the shackles.
Anytime, lads. Anytime, lads. You know, I've made a point of putting some time across to be here, so it's no problem.
Appreciate it massively, mate.
Yeah, massively appreciate it, mate. We really do.
You know, it's really interesting for us to talk and get some insight into the kind of
understand that.
how this works. And yeah, you're a collector, fan, friend of the show. Welcome anytime, mate.
Thanks very much. We
love you.
Yeah,
it's mutual. I can't say it back because my missus is over there and there'll be a contact issue because she can't hear what you're saying. So
yeah, it's going to be a bit weird, but I
love you to two random blokes on the internet. Over there.
You've been warned about that before.
I know. You know,
it's just this time he knows our names. It's different.
That's it.
Best of luck with the Rio pre-orders, and we look forward to your next announcement, mate.
All right, thanks very much, guys.
Cool.
I'll catch you later.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. See ya. Bye.
See you later.